Chapter 3608. Let's give up. The other two minor saints shook their heads and retreated. Fu Hongye nodded and looked at Di Ling, Yubieha, and the middle-aged man. Do you three still want to fight? Hehe, so it's Fu Hongye from Wuxia City. Since that's the case, I'll give you some face. The middle-aged man laughed heartily before turning into a streak of light and leaving. Oh, the old monster's clone finally left. The beautiful lady behind him heaved a sigh of relief. Fu Hongye didn't care at all. He stared at Di Ling and Yubieha. What about you two? Do you want to fight with me or give me the Qilin horn? Countless gazes fell on Di Ling and Yubieha, making them feel even more pressured. To be honest, they were shocked and frightened. At the same time, they were angry and unwilling. What made them frightened was that they were facing the legendary Fu Hongye. They didn't dare to fight with him at all. Didn't they see that the other minor saints had retreated? However, they were arrogant people. One of them was an expert from the Rain clan who held great power. No one dared to provoke him. The other was a young genius. Who dared to go against him? Now that these two arrogant people had to lower their heads, it was worse than killing them. Looks like you two aren't willing to lower your heads. Then let's fight. Fu Hongye said indifferently. He took out a red leaf. Suddenly Yubieha and Di Ling trembled. They felt a chill down their spines. Fight with him? To be honest, they didn't want to. Young Master Fu misunderstood us. How could we snatch young master's things? Yubieha laughed. He was also an old fox, although he was unwilling to accept it. Although he was unwilling to lose, it was his first principle. It seemed like Fu Hongye had to lower his head. The crowd exclaimed. Only Di Ling was left. Di Ling didn't say anything, but he still took 2 steps back. This showed his attitude. Seeing this, Fu Hongye kept the leaf and waved his hand, grabbing the purple cauldron. He formed a few seals and threw it to the man. 19th junior brother, this is for you? Thank you, senior brother. The man was very happy. The three of them turned into streams of light, broke through the void and quickly disappeared. Only when they were completely gone did the surrounding people breathe a sigh of relief. Di Ling was the first to react. Damn it, he turned into a beam of light and quickly returned to the ancient tower. Even though the Qilin horn was gone, there was still a small ancient pavilion. If he went in, he might be able to obtain even more treasures. After him, Yubieha also moved quickly. The pale-faced, beardless middle-aged man and the other little saints also pierced through the void and entered the ancient tower. The others followed suit. There was no way they would miss out on the treasures that followed. Lin Xian smiled and shook his head when he saw this scene. He was afraid that these people were destined to be disappointed, because the greatest treasure in the ancient tower had already been obtained by him. At the same time, what surprised him was that Fu Hongye was really too strong. She was able to suppress so many experts by herself that they didn't dare to raise their heads. Wuxia City? His eyes shone brightly. It seemed that he had to join such a sacred city. Lin Xian shifted his body and continued to hide in the void as he stealthily followed behind. He wanted to see the expressions of these people. Sure enough, when he arrived, he saw that those people were roaring crazily. Their faces turned green. Damn it, how could it be like this? This is impossible, where is the treasure? Di Ling went crazy. He was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. Yubieha, who was beside him, also had an extremely ugly expression. The few little saints didn't pay much attention to their surroundings. They were fighting in all directions, causing the void to tremble. They found that the small ancient tower had disappeared. Damn it, did someone take it away from him? They were about to go crazy. Someone took advantage of the time when they were fighting for the Qilin horn and quietly took away the small ancient tower. This made their hearts bleed. Everyone knew that the treasure in the small ancient tower was definitely more precious than the Qilin horn. However, they guessed that it would be even harder to obtain it. That was why they prepared to take the Qilin horn first and then slowly take over the small ancient tower. However, they didn't expect that the Qilin horn would be taken away by someone else. When they returned, the most precious ancient tower had also disappeared. Damn it! Damn it! Di Ling roared. He had never felt so aggrieved before. Don't let me find out who took away the treasure that I set my eyes on. Otherwise, I will go to the 9 heavens and 10 earths and tear that person into pieces. Yubieha's expression was cold. The few little saints' faces were dark. The middle-aged man with a pale face shook his head and left without saying anything. After him, the other little saints also left one after another. There were still some people who didn't give up and quickly searched around. However, they found nothing. There were also some places that they didn't dare to explore, such as the Death Mist. Therefore, when they saw that there were no more treasures around, they didn't want to stay. After all, the Death Mist was a big threat. In the end, Di Ling also left quickly. When he turned around and left, his eyebrows suddenly twitched. He felt a wave coming from the void. The wave was very familiar to him. However, he couldn't remember where he had sensed it before. Nevertheless, he still paid attention to it. He followed the crowd and left. After about half a day he came back alone. His gaze rarely traveled in all directions. When he carefully examined his surroundings, he revealed a puzzled expression. I can't sense it. It shouldn't be. I clearly sensed a familiar aura. What is it? Are you looking for me? At this moment a voice sounded. He was startled. He quickly turned around and the light of the law burst out. At the same time, the law decree surrounded him as if he was facing a great enemy. At the next moment he was stunned. Damn it, it's you? He was completely stunned because he saw a person and it was a very familiar person. However, he couldn't believe it. Isn't he dead? The person in front of me is the first heaven ant. Was he the one who threw him into the death mist? How is that possible? He's still alive? Is he a ghost? Thinking of this, he sneered. Kid, do you think that you can threaten me after turning into a ghost after death? Today I will destroy your soul. With a wave of his hand, boundless laws soared into the sky like a vast ocean, surging towards the sky. He was really strong. Even a fifth heaven saint wouldn't be able to block this attack. Lin Xian was already prepared. When he raised his hand, he instantly moved away. He dodged the attack and appeared in another place. You're quite fast, but do you think you can dodge it? He sneered. He raised his hand and prepared to attack again. Chapter 3609. Lin Xian's expression was cold. He stepped on the ground and stared coldly at the other party. Do you really think that you can kill me? Fine, I'll let you taste the taste of despair today. The Taiji diagram in his body rotated rapidly, and the power of Taiji burst out. His body shone brightly. This was the power of the sun, and at the same time the power of the moon was activated. The death mist in the surroundings was controlled by him, and it surged towards him. How is this possible? You're not dead yet? Bieha was shocked when he saw his opponent's dazzling physique. The next moment he was even more shocked. What did he see? The death mist was surging towards him. Damn it, can he control the death mist? He was stunned. What kind of technique is this? Even a minor saint can't do it. How did he do it? This brat is too strange. Moreover, his body contains endless secrets. Humph, I'll definitely ask you once I catch you. He turned into a ray of light and instantly shuttled through the void. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Lin Xian. Brat, go to hell. A huge hand grabbed Lin Xian's head, trying to capture his soul and search it. Buzz. Lin Xian suddenly disappeared, and the void where he was standing was shattered. The next moment he walked out from another place. I've said that you can't kill me. Today I'll let you experience despair. Spatial divine ability? Bieha's face turned gloomy. His opponent's movement technique was very strange. It was as if he had teleported. That's right. Lin Xian had used a spatial divine ability, the void escape technique. He was getting more and more familiar with it now. The next moment, the light on his body became even more resplendent, and the death mist shrouded his body. His whole person looked extremely strange. What? You're the guardian? Bieha could no longer remain calm after seeing this. The previous scenes appeared in his mind. Now he finally knew why the previous guardian was targeting him. So it's this brat in front of me. Run? That was Bieha's thought. He couldn't defeat his opponent in the previous battle. He didn't dare to resist the death mist. He had to go back and report to his family so that they could send out many experts to explore this place. He wanted to thoroughly uncover the secrets of this place. Breaking through the void, he took a step inside, wishing to leave. If you want to leave, do you think you can? Lin Xian snorted coldly and waved his fist. He mobilized his precepts and activated the death fog with all his might. With a single strike, the void was shattered. Bieha was shaken out. His face was pale and full of disbelief. His opponent was simply too strong. Damn it, I refuse to accept this. Brat, if you have the ability, don't use the power of the death mist. Ah, you still have the face to say this? Your cultivation level is 4 heavenly layers higher than mine, and you actually dare to say that you're not convinced. If you have the guts to suppress your cultivation and fight me at the same level, I'll beat you into a pulp. I'm so angry. Bieha was mad with anger. He didn't dare to fight and could only run away. He tried to break out of the encirclement several times but was beaten back by Lin Xian. Damn brat, I'll fight it out with you. Bieha roared and opened the decree. He spat out 3 mouthfuls of blood on the decree. Immediately, the ancient Tao scripture character bloomed with dazzling light. A red light pierced through the void like a blood sword, piercing towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt a sense of danger. However, he sneered and opened his mouth to spit out a decree. The decree became bigger and opened. The ancient characters on it also bloomed with light, although it was not as good as the one on the other side. However, it was enough. In an instant, the blood-red light was blocked. Then the remaining power was shattered by Su Cheng's death fog. Rain Clan's decree? It was only SOSO. Damn it, how could it be? You also have a decree. What was going on? Ubieha was completely stunned, because he realized that the thing taken out by his opponent was also a decree. Moreover, it was exactly the same as his. How could his opponent have a decree? Who are you? Who are you? He roared madly. When you go to hell, the king of hell will tell you. Lin Xian did not intend to hold back. The death fog that blotted out the sky and covered the earth rolled over. The entire sky was dyed black. Damn brat, I will tear you into pieces. Ubieha roared madly in the fog. However, it soon turned into a frightened scream. Misunderstanding, it was a misunderstanding between us. Spare my life. I will definitely not attack you in the future. I will give you all my treasures. I beg you to spare me. However, it was still useless. In the end, he roared, I am not satisfied. Then there was no more sound. When the fog dissipated, only a pile of white bones was left behind. Lin Xian took out the decree from the pile of bones and directly threw it into the great sage pagoda to be refined by the starry sky fire. Then he took away the other party's storage room. With a sneer, he left the sky connecting tower. It seemed that it was time to cultivate in seclusion. Lin Xian thought. After experiencing so much, he needed to properly temper himself. Especially when it came to the Qilin tattoo, he needed to properly ponder over it. Therefore, he was going to find a place. Originally, he planned to leave the Azure Wood Tower and go to other worlds to cultivate. However, not long after he flew out of the sky connecting tower, he felt a sharp pain on his body. It was as if there was a needle poking him. He tore open his clothes and found that the Qilin tattoo on his body appeared again. A mysterious power was flowing on it. Damn it, this thing is going to be powerful. I need to quickly refine it. Therefore, he could only find a place on the Azure Wood Star to cultivate in seclusion. He found a place far away from the sky connecting tower. Lin Xian entered the mountain range, built a cave and then went in. After covering it with a formation, he began to cultivate in seclusion. The next few days were really torture for him. The energy released by the Qilin tattoo was too terrifying. It was as if the starry sky fire was burning him. However, Lin Xian had experienced countless hardships. Therefore, although it was painful, he could still endure it. In the end, he directly used all the resources he had obtained during this period of time. For example, the millions of divine crystals and all kinds of heavenly treasures. These were the things he had obtained from the storage rings of countless experts he had killed. At this moment, he did not hold back and used all of them. At this moment, the news on the Azure Wood Star had also spread. The people of many worlds had learned about it. Originally, they wanted to search for treasures. However, when they asked, they found that the treasures were gone. Moreover, there was the death mist in the ancient tower, so many people gave up on the idea. Of course, there were also some bold experts who were prepared to come and explore again. But a spirit ship cut through the wind and landed on the Azure Wood Star. A beautiful woman walked out of it. This woman was too beautiful and very cute. Her big eyes were like crescent moons. As soon as she came down, she looked around. She heard that the sky connecting tower had appeared here. She wondered where it was. Forget it, she'd better look for it in the entire world. She flew quickly. After flying for less than an incense stick's time, he came to a stop. In a mountain range not far away, a violent rumble suddenly sounded, and then the world changed drastically. Chapter 36:10. Countless dark clouds appeared in the sky. Bolts of lightning the size of mountains struck down. It was as if a hole had been torn in the sky. It was a series of explosions. There were even roars that resounded through the 9 heavens. But soon those sounds disappeared. This made the beautiful girl very puzzled. The roar just now seemed to be from a dragon. There was also another sound. Although it was not a dragon's roar, its power was not weak at all. Heavens, could it be that 2 divine beasts of heaven and earth were fighting here? Right, it sounded a little like a Qilin's voice. It was said that a Qilin horn appeared in the ancient Tower of Heaven. It was possible that a powerhouse of the Qilin race was buried there. The voice of a Qilin appeared here again. Could there be a connection? The girl thought for a moment, then looked in that direction. However, the images and sounds of heaven and earth had disappeared. Something was wrong. It should be an array formation. She went over and found an array formation. She tore a corner of the array formation and saw the violent scene inside. The girl stuck out her tongue and ran into the distance. She would wait for the images to disappear before looking again. She waited. She waited for 7 days and 7 nights. Finally, the violent energy disappeared. The girl tore the array formation and rushed in. Lin Xian walked out of the shattered mountain range. He was very depressed and his body was still emitting black smoke. Damn it, this lightning tribulation was too terrifying, right? He almost didn't make it. However, what made him happy was that he had broken through to the second level of the Sage Realm. He had finally advanced to another level. Now his strength had undergone an earth-shattering change. His physique was equivalent to a 4th-level sage. He was even confident that he could withstand a few blows from a 5th-level sage. His strength had increased, and his comprehension of the laws had also increased. However, the only thing that made him depressed was his current appearance. At this moment, black qilin tattoos were all over his body, including his face. Therefore, he looked like a walking qilin instead of his original appearance. How could he go out like this? Would he be mistaken for a divine beast and be captured to be refined into pills? Lin Xian shook his head. He sensed that it would take some time for these qilin tattoos to completely return to normal. Therefore, he planned to stay in the deep mountains for the time being. Squeak. The array formation was torn open. Suddenly Lin Xian was stunned. Someone had torn open his array formation and entered directly. Who was it? How did they attract an expert so quickly? He wanted to leave, but soon he saw a beautiful figure streaking across the void and arriving in front of him. Wow, is that a qilin? And it's a black qilin, heavens, it's really a divine beast. A very pleasant voice was heard. Lin Xian was stunned when he heard this voice, and then he suddenly turned around and revealed an expression of disbelief. He was completely stunned. He saw a young girl. She was wearing an emerald green dress. Her smile was like a flower and her eyes were bright. She was exceptionally cute. The girl stood in the air like a little fairy, blinking her big eyes. That's not right of the human qilin killed, forget it, qilin chen I of the qilin chu. Lin of Lin Chilu Chu Lin qilin chu yu. Lin Qilin walked up to him with an adorable look on her face. Lin Xian was completely stunned. In the next moment he walked up to her, opened his arms and ran forward. I missed you so much, little girl. Why are you here? In an instant he hugged the beautiful girl. The girl was shocked. A terrifying power surged out of her body and bounced Lin Xian away. With a boom the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The power of laws spread and the great path surged. A terrifying crack appeared in the sky. Lin Xian felt the blood in his body churning. The girl's face darkened. Qilin, you're too dishonest. How dare you take advantage of me? Do you want to die? I only wanted a pair of qilin horns, but now I'm going to beat you up. You've grown so quickly, little girl. Lin Xian stood up, patted the dirt off his body and walked over again. Stop right there, what do you want? If you come any closer, I won't be polite to you. Purple light surged out of the girl's body. It was like a purple fog that surrounded her. She was wearing purple armor, and the great path surged around her. Chior, it's me. You actually know my name? Who are you? I'm not familiar with the qilin race. The girl was very wary. Lin Xian squinted. This girl was none other than Jingqiu. He did not expect to meet her here. Furthermore, it seemed like her abilities had improved by leaps and bounds. She did not recognize him. Lin Xian was stunned at first. After that, he recalled that his entire body was covered in qilin tattoos. He looked like a mythical beast. Who would recognize me? He suddenly had an idea to tease this little girl. Of course I know you. I've known you for a long time. I've liked you for a long time. Who do you think you are? Let me tell you, I have a husband. My husband is an indomitable genius. If you dare to have any ideas about me, I'll ask my husband to beat you up. Is that so? Is your husband very powerful? Lin Xian was amused. Jingqiu snorted coldly. Of course. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you're from the qilin race. Let me tell you, my husband beat up many of the qilin race's geniuses in the past. Not to mention the qilin race, he even beat up the geniuses of the dragons and phoenixes. So, hand over the qilin horn obediently. If you dare to have any ideas about me, you're really dead. If your husband is so powerful, where is he? Lin Xian asked. As she spoke until here, the little girl's expression suddenly darkened. Yes, he should be in the first astral realm. However, he'll be here soon. So, you'd better behave yourself. Seeing the little girl's gloomy expression, Lin Xian could not hold it in any longer. He said, Chiu, it's me. I said, don't call me that. Shin Jingqiu snorted coldly. However, she was soon stunned. Wait, why does this voice sound so familiar? Could it be Brother Lin? That's not right. This is a Qilin. She's obviously lying to me. It seems like you've done a thorough investigation on me. You actually dare to imitate my husband's voice. If I don't beat you up today, I'll have to. The little girl snorted coldly. With a wave of her hand, a purple cloud flew over. The laws of heaven and earth surged continuously. Lin Xian sighed. He also knew that he could not return to his normal appearance. If he wanted the little girl to believe him, he could only use some tricks. However, he was not in a hurry. He wanted to test the little girl's recent cultivation progress. He also used his divine ability to fight with his opponent. The two of them exchanged more than 1,000 blows. Lin Xian was very surprised. The current Shin Jingqiu could be said to be very powerful. Chapter 36:11. Her cultivation was at the third heaven of the Sage Realm, and she had all sorts of nomological laws and supernatural powers. Furthermore, it seemed like she still had some trump cards that she hadn't used yet. This made him very surprised. The other party's growth rate really shocked him. At the same time, he was also very happy. Shin Jingqiu's improvement was great news to him. He knew that it was time to reunite with her, so he didn't attack again. Instead, he roared into the sky. His aura rose infinitely, and streaks of sword qi shot into the sky. Those were all dragon-shaped sword qi, and they were like thousands of huge dragons roaming between heaven and earth. Oh no, why is this fellow so terrifying? That's not right. Why is his qilin roaring? Is it a mutated breed? That's not right. This is dragon-shaped sword qi. Why does it look so similar to Brother Lin's sword qi? This fellow is too good at imitating. The little girl was very suspicious at first, but she was stunned when she saw the great dragon sword soul. Only Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul. She exclaimed, "You are really Brother Lin." "That's right, it's me, Qiu." Lin Xian told her some little secrets that only he and Shin Jingqiu knew. Shin Jingqiu completely believed him. She immediately jumped into Lin Xian's arms and cried, "Silly girl, why are you crying? Aren't I here now? Brother Lin, I really missed you. It's great that you can come." Lin Xian comforted her. Then the little girl poked her head out of Lin Xian's arms. She was very surprised. "Brother Lin, what happened to you? Why did you turn into a Qilin?" "Qiu, didn't recognize you." It's a long story." Lin Xian simply told her about his experience in the ancient Tower of Heaven. Shin Jingqiu was very surprised. "So that's what happened. You obtained the treasure of the ancient Qilin." Who would have thought that the treasures of the ancient Clear Heaven Tower that everyone was talking about would actually be obtained by Big Brother Lin? Shin Jingqiu was very surprised. "Oh yes, Qiu, do you know anything about Peerless City?" Lin Xian asked. "I know a little." "Brother Lin, are you also here to join the Holy City?" Shin Jingqiu was pleasantly surprised. "That's great. I'm also preparing to take part in the Wuxia City's assessment." Next, the two of them exchanged information. Lin Xian talked about his experiences over the years. Shin Jingqiu also shared her experience, and Lin Xian was very surprised. It turned out that because of Shin Jingqiu's bloodline, she had joined the Spirit Clan and became a member of the Spirit Clan. Shin Jingqiu was a spirit body and could mobilize the power of heaven and earth to obtain great power. This was something that Lin Xian had seen before. There was also a race in the world called the Spirit Race. Her bloodline was very similar to Shin Jingqiu's, but not as heaven-defying as Shin Jingqiu's. Therefore, Shin Jingqiu was equivalent to a saintess in the Spirit Clan. "Now that you're in the Spirit Clan, can you also join Wuxia City?" Lin Xian was surprised. "No problem. Wuxia City did not restrict one's own family or force. Of course there were restrictions. For example, you had to pass the assessment. Once you joined a holy city, you could not join other holy cities. These holy cities were competing with each other." Lin Xian understood. It turned out that there was not only one holy city. Other than Wuxia City, he also knew of Sky Thunder City. Other than that, there were other holy cities. Each of them was incomparably huge. It could be said that they were the true overlords of the ancient Starry Sky Road. Because each holy city had a sage king overseeing it. Since Shin Jingqiu was also going to join Wuxia City, Lin Xian and Shin Jingqiu went on their way. They boarded a spirit ship and left Azure Tree Star. Along the way, the two of them did not cultivate. Instead, they poured out their love to each other. One was as beautiful as water, while the other was as gentle as a steel man. They went through thick and thin together. Finally, one day they came to a world. This world was very unique. The stars were not regular. Instead they were like swallows. Hence, this world was called Swallow Star. According to Xinjingqiu, this place was very close to Wushuang City. Hence, anyone who wanted to join Wushuang City's assessment would come here. The Flying Swallow Star was considered a subsidiary force of the Peerless City. The entire Peerless City was huge. It was a city built by an unparalleled expert over tens of thousands of years. It was even bigger than an entire world. The city floated in the universe like a gigantic object. Lin Xian stood on the Flying Goose planet and could feel the terrifying power of the heavens and earth. There were many martial artists on Swallow Star and they were all very powerful. Xinjingqiu said that Wushuang City did not recruit many disciples. Until now, they had only recruited 2 generations of disciples. This time they were recruiting the 3rd generation of disciples. As for the other holy cities, they had a long history and had recruited more than 10 generations. It was because Wushuang City was recruiting the 3rd generation of disciples that they attracted so many people. If they could get in, they would definitely become a core member of the holy city. However, it was very difficult to join the holy city. If they were not outstanding and talented, it was not impossible at all. Hence, even though there were so many people in the world, the number of people who could succeed was less than 1 in 10 million. After all, the holy city was recruiting disciples from all over the universe. The entire 2nd astral realm would be in an uproar. How many worlds and geniuses would that be? Lin Xian took a deep breath. He was shocked. However, he had absolute confidence in himself. After Xinjingqiu came down, she asked around and was surprised. Brother Lin Xian, we came at the right time. I heard that the projection of the 9th heaven has been projected. We can go and experience it then. What is the projection of the 9th heaven? Lin Xian asked. Xinjingqiu said that it was the content of the assessment. It was said that Wushuang City would use the 9th heaven as the assessment. Only by stepping into the 9th heaven would one be qualified to take the next assessment. After hearing this, Lin Xian had a rough understanding. Should be a screening. There were too many people participating in the assessment, so most of them had to be eliminated and the elite geniuses would be kept. Lin Xian was not unfamiliar with this practice, but he was very curious about the 9th heaven. I don't know what it will be like. Why don't we go and take a look? Okay, but it's just a projection now. We should be able to roughly sense it. Next, the 2 of them cut through the void and left the Goose Flying Star. They came to the outer realm and flew east for about half a day. They saw a huge shadow in front of them. It was tens of thousands of miles tall and had a terrifying aura. It was as if it had poked a hole in the sky. This should be the projection of the 9th heaven. The real 9th heaven is above. Let's go and sense it. Lin Xian was surprised. What a terrifying pressure. Ordinary sages would not be able to withstand it. He saw that there were many people around and was ready to sense it in advance. A sage of the 1st heaven would not be able to stand here, let alone move forward. Lin Xian guessed that to enter, one would have to be at least at the 2nd heaven. If one wanted to get a good result, one would need to be at the 3rd or 4th heaven. It was really shocking. Chapter 36:12. In the 1st astral realm, being able to become a saint was already a peerless genius. But in the 2nd astral realm it was not enough. For example, Di Ling was already a late 4th heavenly layer expert. There should be many other geniuses too. And these were only those who were participating in the assessment. Those who were already disciples of the sacred city, how terrifying were they? He thought of Lei Qianzhong and the others again. Back in the 1st astral realm he was already shocked. Now it seemed that Lei Qianzhong was probably at the bottom of the heavenly thunder sacred city. The real geniuses of the sacred city should be like Fu Hongye. She alone could suppress a small saint to the point that they did not dare to resist. Thinking of this, Lin Xian clenched his fists excitedly. He must join the Wushuang City. He took a deep breath and said, "Let's give it a try." The 2 of them flew up quickly. Lin Xian and Xinjingqiu felt pressured as soon as they entered the black projection. However, Lin Xian and Xinjingqiu were both strong. This pressure was not much of a threat to them. They flew up for tens of thousands of miles. Lin Xian felt the pressure getting bigger and bigger. Xinjingqiu, who was beside him, was also sweating. Lin Xian stopped and asked, "It's okay." Xinjingqiu looked at Lin Xian and pouted. "Brother Lin, your physique is too strong. It's not affected at all." Lin Xian laughed. "You're not simple either. Last time we fought more than 1,000 moves and we were evenly matched. Moreover, I'm a body cultivator. My physique is strong. You should know this. What you have is a spirit-body specialty, not in defense but in other aspects. You must have a lot of trump cards that you haven't used yet." You saw through me." Xinjingqiu laughed. Indeed, the 9-yang divine body was the type with strong defense. Her spirit body was another type. Brother Lin, why don't we compete and see who can reach the real 9th heavenly layer first? The loser has to agree to a request. Speaking of this, she blinked cutely. Okay. Lin Xian said with a smile. His childlike innocence had been awakened. The two of them turned into streams of light and shuttled back and forth. Lin Xian did not use any laws at all. His physique was extremely powerful. Along the way, the pressure slammed into his body, but it didn't cause any ripples. On the other side, Xin Jingqiu used his nomological divine ability. A purple auspicious cloud appeared on his body and circled around him. He instantly resisted the pressure. The two of them were extremely fast. Lin Xian was surprised. They really did have some tricks up their sleeves. He said, I have to speed up. Speaking up to this point, he stomped his foot, and brilliant light burst forth from his body, making him look like a sun. His speed doubled once more. Xin Jingqiu formed a seal with her fingers. Purple qi came from the east. As a spirit body, she could mobilize the power of heaven and earth much more efficiently than others. The surrounding pressure was actually mobilized by him and transformed into his own power. As a result, his speed also doubled. The speed of the two was really too fast. Wherever they passed, some people were extremely surprised. Was it a gust of wind that blew past just now? Finally, the two of them stopped. This place was already very high and the surroundings were chaotic. Above them were the 9 levels of heaven superimposed on each other. It made people feel awe at a glance. What a terrifying aura. The two of them stood in front of the 9 levels of heaven. They couldn't go any further. This was the true place of the test. However, they could only watch now. There was basically no one around except for the two of them. The two of them sensed for a while and wanted to leave. However, at this moment, the sound of something tearing through the air came from behind again. Someone was coming. Xin Jingqiu was surprised. She turned her head to look. Was it another expert? In the next moment, she was stunned. The people behind her were also stunned. Very you. Xin Jingqiu revealed a look of surprise. The person behind her was Yu Shijie, and there were a few people beside her. Yu Shijie looked at Xin Jingqiu with a look of surprise. The holy maiden of the spirit clan. She did not expect the other party to be here, and with someone beside her. A man? This holy maiden of the spirit clan was also a peerless beauty. She was very famous in the second astral realm, and her reputation was not inferior to hers. Moreover, it was rumored that she was also incomparably beautiful and had never been close to men. What was going on? Was this man also from the spirit clan? However, when she saw the man turn around, she was stunned. How was this possible? She was incomparably shocked because she discovered that this person was none other than Lin Xian. She was no stranger to Lin Xian as he had just rescued her not too long ago. And he had left from the Rain clan. Why was he here, and with the holy maiden of the spirit clan? It was really too inconceivable. Yu Shijie was shocked, but the expressions of the people beside her darkened. Their eyes were filled with biting cold killing intent. Clearly this killing intent was targeted at Lin Xian. This scene also stunned Xin Jingqiu. What was going on? These people were targeting Brother Lin. Instantly she furrowed her brows. Lin Xian was also stunned. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. He did not expect to meet enemies just by coming to see the 9th heaven. In front of him, besides Yu Shijie, there was also her younger brother, Yu Qinye, and a few other young masters. Zhang Yunfei was also among them. At this moment, Zhang Yunfei's expression was incomparably cold. To be honest, he was so angry that his entire body was trembling. He really could not forget that he had been beaten up by this person last time. Of course, he believed that this person had ambushed him. With his true strength, he was not weaker than this person. Damn brat, I was careless last time. This time you will die without a doubt. Aha, you know that you are a loser, but you still dare to boast like this. Lin Xian shook his head, his eyes filled with disdain. Cultivate for another 1,000 years, then come find me again. Damn it, do you dare to fight me now? Zhang Yunfei stepped forward, his eyes red. However, Lin Xian did not step forward, but Xin Jingqiu did. She said coldly. What, are you going to attack my brother Lin? What brother Lin? Zhang Yunfei was stunned. Many people sucked in a cold breath. Even Yu Shijie and Yu Qinye frowned. Such an intimate address meant that their relationship was not ordinary. But wasn't this too unbelievable? They were very clear about Lin Xian's background. Lin Xian came from the first astral realm and had just arrived. How could he know the holy maiden of the spirit clan? And their relationship was so close that they were about to go crazy. Zhang Yunfei was also stunned. He did not attack, only snorting coldly. After all, this was the holy maiden of the spirit clan. She was of noble status. He did not dare to attack her lightly. But his eyes burned. He was so jealous. Damn it. What was wrong with this brat? Why did he know the holy maiden of the spirit clan? Damn it, damn it. Why was this brat's luck with women so good? Chapter 36:13. First, it was Wuxia who was very close to him, but fortunately they became enemies. Who would have thought that the holy maiden of the spirit clan would be with him? What kind of trick did this brat have to make such a beauty fall in love with him? They really wanted to catch him and take his soul. Even if they couldn't take any peerless martial arts, they felt that their lives would be worth it if they could get this method to make a beauty fall in love with him. Don't worry, even if you didn't come, this guy wouldn't be able to beat me. You lost to me. That's right, I knew that Brother Lin was the strongest. How could these guys be your opponent? Zhang Yunfei and the others were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. Damn it, they were slapped in the face just like that? And they couldn't even fight back. That was a sneak attack. If I fought seriously, he wouldn't be my opponent at all. Zhang Yunfei gritted his teeth. Brat, if you have the ability, don't hide behind a woman. Come out and fight with me. I'll show you how strong I am. That's right, holy maiden, this brat came from the first astral realm. He's a liar. He wanted to trick our Yu clan before, but we saw through him. I didn't expect him to trick you again. You can't be tricked by him. Wuxia also spoke quickly. He looked at Xin Jingqiu with a fiery gaze. This Xin Jingqiu, whether it was appearance or status, didn't lose to his sister. In fact, she was even more outstanding than his sister. This made the Yu clan's young master's heart move. However, Xin Jingqiu was angry. You're the liar. Your whole family are liars. This is my brother Lin. This is my husband. How could he be a liar? With that, Xin Jingqiu hugged Lin Xian's arm. On the other side, Wuxia, Zhang Yunfei and the others were stunned. Damn, both sides had confirmed their relationship. Such a good fairy was snatched away by a brat. Their hearts were broken. One had to know that in the second astral realm, there were a few famous beauties. Yusiki was one of them and Xin Jingqiu was also one of them. But now, the peerless beauty's heart actually belonged to someone else. They were about to go crazy from anger. Let's go, Brother Lin. Let's not bother with these bad people. Xin Jingqiu pulled Lin Xian's hand, and the two of them left Wuxia's side. This made everyone's faces turn green. Damn it. I don't believe it. No, he had to find a chance to kill him. Zhang Yunfei and the others gritted their teeth. Even Yusiki furrowed her brows. Her expression was extremely displeased. She felt that she was being ignored. No one had ever dared to ignore her beauty, but someone had done it today. Moreover, this person had once saved her life. Don't worry, elder sister, that brat definitely won't live for long. Someone will kill him. Wuxia said from the side. On the other side, Xin Jingqiu and Lin Xian left Ninth Heaven and returned to Fian Planet. They found a valley with mountains, water, and spirit veins and settled down temporarily. Of course, this Sangu cave dwelling wasn't for anyone to live in. Xin Jingqiu had spent a lot of money to buy it. At this moment, every inch of land on Fian Planet was shockingly expensive. Those who had no money could only live in the cold outer space. In the valley, Lin Xian and Xin Jingqiu once again lived their life as husband and wife. Could be said that they lived like gods. However, they didn't know that a piece of news about them was spreading quickly. And the person who spread this news was Wuxia. After Wuxia and the others returned from Ninth Heaven, they felt that they couldn't be so passive. They had to find a way to create some trouble. It would be best if they could get someone else to do the dirty work. Therefore they spread all kinds of news. Did you know? The saintess of the spirit tribe already had a husband. What? Impossible? The saintess of the spirit tribe was as pure as ice and as beautiful as jade. She was pursued by countless geniuses but failed. How could she have a husband? Yes, it was true. It was said that someone saw the two of them holding hands. Who was it? Could it be someone from the spirit tribe? No, it was said that someone from the first astral realm came. What? Trash from the first astral realm? Those geniuses from the two astral realms were furious. In their eyes, the people from the first astral realm were trash. They didn't care about them at all. Only those from the two astral realms were worthy of a peerless beauty like Xin Jingqiu. But now there was someone from the first astral realm who didn't know what was good for him. I want to see which ant dares to be so arrogant. Catch him and kill him. The saintess of the spirit tribe wasn't someone that any toad could get close to. Don't worry, we can definitely kill him. That kid is very weak. It is said that he is only an early second heaven sage. What? An early second heaven sage is qualified? Damn, I thought that those who weren't at the fourth heaven sage wouldn't even be able to see the goddess. How could a second heaven kid get such preferential treatment? Damn it, he must be practicing some evil technique. Yes, he might be using his soul to control the saintess. No, we must catch him and tear him to pieces. Countless crazy roars rang out. These people searched everywhere, wanting to fight to the death with the other party to save the saintess. This matter caused an uproar, so much so that the other members of the spirit tribe also heard it. They were also stunned. Their saintess had a husband? What kind of joke was this? Why didn't they know? Moreover, it was someone from the first astral realm. Could it be that the saintess had an accident outside? They instantly became nervous, but then they thought that something was wrong. Their saintess was very talented and powerful. Moreover, she had many trump cards. If something happened to the saintess, they should be the first to know. But now they didn't receive any news at all. But what was going on? Who was spreading the rumors? No, quickly find out where Shinjinqiu is. An expert gave the order. The saintess was the hope of the spirit tribe. They couldn't let anything happen to Shinjinqiu. In an instant these people were tempted. Soon they locked onto a valley and moved out. The people of the spirit tribe were very beautiful. The men were handsome and the women were beautiful. Moreover, they had a spiritual aura about them. The moment they appeared, the power of the heavens and earth would surge. Therefore, the people of the spirit tribe were the focus of attention wherever they went. When these people of the spirit tribe headed out of the valley, they immediately alerted the others. Look, it's the people of the spirit tribe. They're here. Obviously, they've been alerted by the news. They're going to look for the saintess. Follow them quickly. We'll definitely find the saintess. Yes, let's go and see if this rumor is true. These people followed one after another. When the people of the spirit tribe saw this, their faces changed. But it was too late for them to hide it. They could only speed up. Falling Flower Valley. It was exceptionally beautiful. There were all kinds of flower petals in it, like a paradise on earth. Among these flower petals there was a young girl. She was like a fairy picking flowers. But suddenly she raised her head and frowned. Chapter 36:14. In the next moment she flashed and came to the other side of the valley. Soon she saw a group of people landing in the valley. Why are you here? Shinjinqiu frowned and asked. She knew these people from the spirit clan. However, she did not have a good relationship with these people. Therefore she was surprised that they were here. Although she was also a spirit body and an innate spirit body, she was an outsider after all. However, her physique and bloodline were very similar to those of the spirit clan. In fact, she was stronger than most of the people in the spirit clan. Therefore, she was conferred the title of saintess by the spirit clan. In this way the young women in the clan were very jealous. They often played tricks. However, Shinjinqiu was very smart and powerful. Moreover, she was favored by many elders of the spirit clan. Therefore nothing happened. Now that such a big thing had happened, they naturally came to gloat. If they were lucky, they might be able to ruin Shinjinqiu's reputation and make her fall from the position of saintess. Sister, do you know that you are in big trouble? A woman with an enchanting figure said in a delicate voice. She was called Ling Lianhua. She was the person who was most against Shinjinqiu in private. Because she felt that if Shinjinqiu did not come, she would be the saintess. Therefore, she felt that Shinjinqiu had stolen her position. Trouble? What trouble did I get into? Shinjinqiu was also curious. Did this woman take the wrong medicine today? Usually she did not dare to provoke her. Why did she dare to come today? My good sister, you are too slow to get the news. Don't you know that these two are born together? Ling Lianhua was also stunned. She thought that Shinjinqiu had made up countless excuses. She did not expect that she did not know at all. Thinking of this, she sneered in her heart. Let's see how you are going to die this time. She laughed. Do you know that there are rumors outside that you are with a man? Why are you still calling him your husband? Tell me, this is a big slander to the reputation of the spirit clan. That's right, you don't know how exaggerated the clothes outside were, saying that the person was only at the second layer of heaven and was a piece of trash. They even said that this person came from the first star realm. Just listen to what they said. How could such a person be a genius? As the holy maiden, you represent the spirit race, so you have to think twice before you act. Most of the people who came were women from the spirit race. Of course, there were a few men as well. They were all the younger brothers or older brothers of these people. They were here to cheer. At this moment, they were all waiting for Shinjinqiu to give an answer. The valley was crowded with people. Many people's eyes glowed as they used various eye techniques, formations, and weapons to observe the battle. What was going on? Was there really a man hiding inside? However, with the arrival of the spirit race, The truth would soon be revealed. Xin Jingqiu heaved a sigh of relief. She thought something big had happened. Wasn't it just these rumors? That day when she was with Lin Xian, she didn't hide anything. Moreover, they met Yusiki and the others near the ninth heaven. With the relationship between both parties, how could the Yu clan not make an issue out of this? Therefore, without a doubt, the news was released by the Yu clan. It was to target Lin Xian. I know what you said. Sisters, is there anything else? If there isn't, please leave. I still have to cultivate. I still have to participate in the Sacred City's examination in 2 days. Shen Jingqiu didn't have any emotional fluctuations, causing the crowd to be in an uproar. However, Ling Lianhua and the others were gritting their teeth. Damn it, why are you pretending? Let's see how you're going to be the holy maiden when the truth is revealed. However, in the next moment they were stunned. They found that Shen Jingqiu turned around and left. She walked into the valley, ignoring them. Damn it, he had actually ignored them. Damn it, if it wasn't for the old ancestor protecting you, you wouldn't be where you are today. These people were furious. The men beside them also sneered and walked out. Holy maiden, what kind of attitude is this? We care so much about the reputation of the spirit race, don't you care? Don't forget how we, the spirit race, have treated you. As the holy maiden, shouldn't you pay some price? That's right, or are you really hiding a man in this valley? If you really do, then let him come out. I want to see what methods he used to confuse you, holy maiden. That's right, that person has committed a crime. We will tear him into pieces. Holy maiden, don't be afraid. With us here you won't be threatened. Shut up. Shen Jingqiu was furious. These people kept calling her trash. Who did they think she was? In her eyes, these people couldn't even compare to a strand of Lin Xian's hair. On the opposite side, Ling Lianhua and the others were shocked. They hadn't seen Shen Jingqiu being angry. They didn't expect her to scold them for a man. Suddenly their faces darkened. On the other side, Shen Jingqiu said coldly, "Since you know that I'm the holy maiden of the spirit race, then you'd better behave yourselves in front of me. As the holy maiden, I can represent the entire spirit race and punish you. So don't go overboard. I don't want to fight you, but if you push me too far, don't blame me for being rude." Shen Jingqiu knew that she was an outsider. So even though she was the holy maiden, she didn't get angry with anyone. Her goal was simple. She wanted to cultivate and follow in Lin Xian's footsteps to reach the peak of martial arts. But now these people were insulting Lin Xian. She couldn't take it anymore. Even if the old ancestor wanted to punish her, she would teach these people a lesson today. On the opposite side, Ling Lianhua and the others were shocked. They didn't expect Shen Jingqiu to be angry. Moreover, it seemed like she was going to fight. For a moment they were nervous. They had never seen the holy maiden like this. Why aren't the petals you plucked here? I've already brewed the spiritual wine. I'm just waiting for you to drink it. Suddenly, a voice came from the valley. When the voice came out, Ling Lianhua was stunned. The people in the surrounding valley were also stunned. There's someone in the valley, and it's a man's voice. After digging up the heavens, there really was a man hidden in this valley. The news spread like wildfire. Ling Lianhua and the others' minds went blank. To be honest, they thought it was just a rumor. They were prepared to suppress Shen Jingqiu. But they didn't expect to see it with their own eyes. Shen Jingqiu was really with another man. Who is it? Is it a piece of trash like the rumor said? They looked into the valley carefully. Soon they saw a man walking over. Chapter 36:15. Was a man in red. He was tall and handsome, and his eyes were as bright as the stars. People would be lost in his eyes at first glance. What a handsome man. Everyone was shocked. Even Ling Lianhua and the rest were tempted. His appearance and temperament could indeed make countless women fall in love with him. But in the next moment they were stunned when they saw his cultivation level. He was at the second heaven of the sage realm, and he was at the initial stage. They showed a look of disdain. Such a cultivation level was considered good outside, but it was nothing in front of the geniuses of the spirit tribe. The weakest among them was at the second heaven of the sage realm, and many of them were at the third heaven of the sage realm. The people outside the valley were also stunned. Who is this man? Is he the legendary person from the first astral realm? Brother Lin. Shen Jingqiu looked at Lin Xian and called out softly. Lin Xian came to her side and rubbed her hair. Then he asked, "What are you doing? Why are you so slow? The wine is cold." He looked at the people in front of him and showed a look of surprise. "The people of the spirit tribe, they are here to look for you? You are the husband of the saintess? Kid, what despicable means did you use to bewitch our saintess? Kneel down and accept your death. Today I will destroy your soul." A few men of the spirit tribe walked out, emitting a strong aura. Lin Xian frowned. It seemed that they did not come with good intentions. He wanted to treat them to a drink, but it seemed that there was no need for that. Shen Jingqiu also transmitted her voice to Lin Xian. Brother Lin, be careful. These guys are targeting you, but I will help you deal with them. Lin Xian sighed in his heart. It seemed that Shen Jingqiu did not have a good life. After all, she was an outsider. Some people of the spirit tribe were unwilling to accept that she was the saintess of the spirit tribe. It seems that you are not friends. In that case, you should leave quickly. You are not welcome here. Lin Xian said coldly. He did not attack immediately. After all, these people were Shen Jingqiu's people. So, he did not want to attack the spirit tribe unless it was a last resort. Kit, you want to chase us away? Do you have the qualifications to do so? A man walked out and sneered. His body emitted a powerful aura. He was a level 3 heaven saint and had a cold smile on his face. In his opinion, if he were to display his holy aura of the third heaven, his opponent would definitely be scared to the ground. He had to give the other party a show of strength and humiliate them. He wanted to see what Shen Jingqiu would do. However, very soon he was stunned. That was because he discovered that showing off his strength was completely useless. Lin Xian coldly stood there with a sneer on his face. Why didn't he want to leave? Do you want me to send you off personally? If that's the case, I'm afraid your spiritual race's reputation won't look too good. How could this be? He actually ignored my saint aura. The man was stunned. One must know that there was a difference of an entire cultivation realm between the two of them. Just by using his saint's might, he could easily force the other party to kneel on the ground. However, this move didn't succeed at all. Damn it, isn't this brat too strange? Kid, don't be arrogant in front of me. If it wasn't for the saintess, you would be a dead man now. You should be the lucky ones. Lin Xian sneered. If Chiu wasn't your saintess, all of you would be in hell now. You're all alive now because of Chiu. Indeed, Lin Xian was giving face to Shen Jingqiu. Otherwise, these people wouldn't have the qualifications to be arrogant in front of him. Damn it, Ling Lian and the others were so angry that their faces turned pale. A small ant dared to be so arrogant in front of them. Hehe, even if I have to offend the saintess today, I will kill you personally. The man walked out with a powerful aura around him. How dare you? Shen Jingqiu shouted angrily. He was also angry. He had already given these people a lot of face. I'm warning you, don't go overboard. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Sister Chiu, are you really going to ignore the spirit tribe's reputation and be together with such a person? Ling Lian said coldly. Shen Jingqiu said that it's my freedom to be with whoever I want. I think even the spirit tribe won't restrict me on this point. Furthermore, aren't you embarrassing the spirit tribe by doing this? It seems like Sister Ling has grown up. Otherwise, the spirit tribe wouldn't even care about you. Alright, let's let the elders decide on this matter. I hope that you can still be as persistent as you are now. Evidently, Ling Lian wanted to expose this matter to the spirit tribe and let the elders make the decision. When the time came, he wanted to see how Shen Jingqiu would deal with it. Those elders doted on her. They wouldn't let the spirit tribe's reputation be tarnished. Shen Jingqiu ignored him, but his face turned cold. Lin Xian also frowned. These people dared to threaten Chiu. They deserve to die. He said in a deep voice, I'll give you 2 seconds to disappear from my sight. Hey kid, you dare to release your killing intent in front of me? Do you believe that I'll? The level 3 sage sneered again. A level 2 ant dared to release his killing intent. Wasn't he courting death? But before he could finish his sentence, he screamed. In the next moment, his arm was broken. Lin Xian finally couldn't help but take action. He broke the other party's arm and threw it back. The surrounding people were all stunned. The spirit tribe people were also stunned. Their pupils constricted. How could this be? Wasn't the other party a level 2 sage? How could he injure a level 3 sage? This went against common sense. How dare you injure me? Cracking sounds came from the spirit race clansman's body as his broken arm healed once again. He wanted to rush over, but Lin Xian drew a line on the ground with his finger. Those who crossed the line would die. This time the voice was merciless. The entire world shook violently. Unknowingly, the level 3 sage stopped. His face was filled with fear. Ling Lian and the others also felt their souls trembling. What was going on? They actually showed fear. This shouldn't be. Was this person really only at the second celestial layer? Was he really trash? But how could he release such an aura? The spirit race's people were stunned by the ravine. The spectators around the valley were also shocked. This kid didn't seem to be as simple as he looked. I don't know. There's something strange. I have to investigate. But there were also people who sneered. An ant will always be an ant. No matter how strong he is, he can't do anything. Alright, I already know what you want to say. If you want to complain to the elders, feel free to do so. This is my valley. I don't welcome you. You should leave quickly. Shinjingqiu walked out and said coldly. Alright, Sister Ling, see you in our family. Ling Lian snorted. She brought her people and soared into the sky, disappearing into the sky. Chapter 36:16. Brother Lin, I've made a fool of myself in front of you. Shinjingqiu smiled bitterly. Lin Xian rubbed her little head. If you have any difficulties, just tell me. If it's not convenient for you to do anything, I'll help you. Murderous intent flashed across his eyes. Shinjingqiu shook her head. Forget it. No matter what, they're from the spirit tribe. I've received a lot of care from the spirit tribe over the years, so I don't want to do anything to them. Seeing Lin Xian's loving gaze, Shinjingqiu smiled. Don't worry. When we join Wushuang City, they won't dare to say anything. Don't worry, Qiu. I'll definitely be able to make a name for myself in the second astral realm. When the time comes, the elders of the spirit tribe won't reject us. That's for sure. Qiu believes in Brother Lin. Shinjingqiu smiled. Oh right, I heard that there's still some time before Wushuang City's assessment. I'm preparing to go into seclusion for the final push. Brother Lin, are you also going into seclusion? I've just broken through and it's not easy for me to go into seclusion. I'm going to walk around Azure Tree Star and understand the situation here. All right. Shinjingqiu nodded. Suddenly she thought of something. All right, Brother Lin, you can go to this gathering. Gathering? What gathering? Lin Xian was surprised. Shinjingqiu said that it's a small martial arts gathering for the top geniuses. I've also received an invitation. However, I'm going into seclusion and don't have time. Brother Lin, why don't you go on my behalf? It's a good opportunity to see what kind of geniuses are participating in this assessment. A martial arts gathering? Interesting. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. All right, I'll go and take a look. He received the invitation. Shinjingqiu was preparing to go into seclusion. Lin Xian also set up a few arrays for Shinjingqiu. Then he left behind an array formation for transmitting messages and left. Presumably, no one would be able to break through his array formation. Even if it was broken, he could teleport back in an instant. After doing all this, Lin Xian left Falling Flower Valley. He began to walk along the Valley of Falling Flowers, passing through one city after another. Due to the Peerless Cities test, the number of geniuses on the Flying Sparrow Star was way too high. It was a rare event. It was estimated that the experts of the countless worlds nearby had all gathered here. Some people even created a golden distinction roll based on these people's talent and strength. It was said that the people on the roll had a high chance of joining Wushuang City. On the gold roll, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. It was obvious that someone was trying to create momentum for the top geniuses. He easily got his hands on a list. There were dozens of geniuses on the golden distinction roll, but the most dazzling ones were the top 8. They were the 8 geniuses. The 8 geniuses were favored by countless people. They were all famous geniuses from the 2-star realms. Lin Xian immediately recognized Di Ling, who was ranked first among the 8 great geniuses. This imperial mausoleum was indeed incredible. Lin Xian nodded slightly. He had seen Di Mausoleum's battle before. Di Mausoleum was evenly matched with the older generation experts. Di Mausoleum's cultivation was at the late stage of the 4th heaven of the Sage Realm. In addition, there was an extremely terrifying coffin in his body that could greatly increase his strength. However, Lin Xian felt that the coffin was too cold. It was probably a trump card that could not be used easily. Below Di Mausoleum was a person called Gui Li. Lin Xian looked at the introduction. This Gui Li came from the Demon Star. He still remembered the Demon Star clearly. It was a place where countless ruthless people gathered. People who came from such a place would definitely have extremely ruthless means. Ghostly should be one of the best among them. Next, there were some people like Shi Bufan, Shi Sui Tianqin, and others. They were all geniuses from different worlds, different clans. However, without exception, their names were known throughout the starry sky. Lin Xian also saw Shinjingqiu's name. She was ranked 6th. It seemed that this little girl was also very famous. Other than Shinjingqiu, he also saw a familiar face. That was Yu Qianye, the young master of the Yu clan. He was ranked below Shinjingqiu. The 8 geniuses? He wondered how many people would be able to attend this martial arts competition. Lin Xian was looking forward to it. According to Shinjingqiu, the martial arts competition would be held at Broken Cloud Mountain. Lin Xian identified the direction and sped up towards Broken Cloud Mountain. Broken Cloud Mountain towered into the clouds and had an extraordinary aura. There were many geniuses nearby. However, ordinary people could only wander around at the foot of the mountain. Without an invitation they could not enter. When they arrived near Broken Cloud Mountain, flying was already prohibited. Therefore, when Lin Xian landed, he found many people waiting around. There was a beast pulling a chariot that brought them in. It was a 100-legged centipede. It was very large, like a mountain range. One could not see the end of it. There were countless chariots on its back. Lin Xian paid some divine crystals and boarded a chariot. There were a few other people in the chariot with her. One of them was a beautiful girl with fair skin. Beside her was a young master in luxurious clothes. He was waving a folding fan with an arrogant expression. There were a few other people, both men and women. However, their expressions were very cold and unapproachable. The girl with fair skin was very cute. When she got on the chariot, she looked at Lin Xian and said, "Hello, I'm Jiang Xiaoyu. Are you here for the martial arts competition too?" "Yes." Lin Xian nodded slightly. At this moment, the arrogant young man beside her said, "Xiaoyu, don't waste your breath on this guy. He's not dressed well. He probably doesn't even have the right to enter. He can only wander around at the foot of the mountain." Hearing this, Lin Xian raised his eyebrows slightly. Another arrogant young master. That Xiaoyu was the same. To be honest, she was very unhappy with Hua Yuke. However, she had no choice. This was the arrangement of her family. Her family wanted to matchmake her with Hua Yuke. She could only follow him helplessly. However, Xiaoyu did not like the other party's overbearing attitude. "I'm sorry," Xiaoyu said apologetically to Lin Xian. "He's very rude." Lin Xian was surprised. Looking at this girl, she should be a saint. He did not expect her to be so well educated. It seemed that people's personalities were indeed different. He smiled and said, "It's fine. I won't mind." "Do you dare to mind?" Hua Yuke sneered. He was the young master of the Hua family. He was very strong and had a high status. How dare this guy go against him? Was he tired of living? Lin Xian simply ignored young Master Hua's mysterious self-confidence. Closing his eyes, he sat in the war chariot waiting for something to happen. After about an hour, the 100-legged centipede stopped. They had arrived at their destination. "Let's go, Xiaoyu." Hua Yuke took the lead and got off the chariot. Xiaoyu followed behind him and the others got off as well. Lin Xian followed suit. There were even more people here. However, most of them did not have the right to enter. They could only wander around and wait. From time to time they would ask for some information. After all, even if they could not enter, they would have something to brag about in the future. Chapter 36:17. Young Master, let's go together. Xiaoyu looked at Lin Xian and smiled. For some reason, she felt that Lin Xian's aura made her feel comfortable. She couldn't explain it. Maybe it was because of the Tao of heaven and earth. Lin Xian cultivated the 5 elements law and had the yin-yang image. These were the most original powers of heaven and earth. Therefore he could make people feel at ease. Perhaps even he didn't realize it. Seeing this, Hua Yuke laughed coldly. He did not say anything and continued walking forward. This Xiaoyu was too naive. How could a poor man like him be qualified to enter? The group of people walked forward. Hua Yuke took out his invitation card. After the guard checked, he smiled and said, "So it's the young master of the flower tribe. Please come in." Hua Yuke nodded and was satisfied. He said, "This is the little princess of the Jianghu tribe. She came with me. So it's Fairy Jiang. Please come in," the guard said respectfully again. Hua Yuke said, "Oh right, the kid behind us is not with us. You have to check carefully." This was a small martial arts competition. Not just any Tom, Dick, or Harry could enter. Hearing this, the guard's eyes lit up and he stared at Lin Xian. The two of them crossed swords and blocked the way. "Young master, do you have an invitation?" When Jiang Xiaoyu saw this, she quickly said, "Why don't we bring this young master in too? Anyway, you have an invitation, right? Bring him in?" Hua Yuke smiled in disdain. "What a joke." Lin Xian said, "No need. I have my own invitation." He took out his invitation and passed it to the guard. "He has one." Hua Yuke was stunned. He then laughed coldly. "Look carefully. Don't let anyone fake it." The others were also whispering to each other. The guard carefully checked the invitation card 3 times and found that it was real. He said respectfully, "Young master, there was a misunderstanding. I hope you don't blame me. After all, those who could have love invitations were either rich or respectable. They all had frightening backgrounds. These guards did not dare to offend them easily. How could it be? Did you see it clearly? Is the invitation real? Hua Yuke could not believe what he was seeing. How could this poor and destitute brat have an invitation? One had to know that this was a small martial arts gathering. Experts from families from many worlds had gathered. Ordinary families were not qualified to enter at all. Which clan was this kid from? Young Master Hua, this invitation card is real. We can be sure of that. After that, they looked towards Lin Xian. They did not know his name. Lin Wudi. Lin Xian wrote down his name on the list of flowers in a carefree manner. When this name came out, quite a few people turned their heads one after another. Daring to call himself unrivaled, who was this? Wasn't this too arrogant? This fellow's cultivation? Holy shit, he's only a second heaven sage. A second heaven sage dared to call himself invincible. Where did his confidence come from? Whispers could be heard all around. Hua Yuke sneered again. What an ignorant brat. He didn't pay any more attention to it. In his opinion, even if the other party had an invitation, it was probably stolen from somewhere. As for the name Lin Wudi, he was even more disdainful. Perhaps it just meant invincible king. This brat probably became a sage by chance. The others were also discussing. They did not think that a second heaven sage dared to call himself invincible. Lin Xian did not care about these people's discussions. He wanted to walk the path of martial arts. How could these ordinary people know about it? Boom boom boom. The heavens and the earth rumbled. A ray of light descended from the sky, attracting the attention of everyone. Gasps could be heard. Heavens, how could this be? Someone actually flew here? That was too unbelievable. That's right, who was he? How could he fly? Wasn't it forbidden to fly here? These people were all stunned. They had to stop when they were 10,000 miles away. They could only ride on chariots. But now, someone actually flew over. Was this a provocation? Boom. The ray of light had already descended. The mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Everyone's blood boiled. Someone fell to the ground and spat out blood. What a terrifying power. Who was this person? Even Hua Wu Ke Jiang Xiaoyu and the others were swaying. Lin Xian could feel a tremendous power coming toward him. However, he slightly urged his god body to counteract that power. However, he was also surprised. This power was indeed shocking. Who was it? He turned his head and looked. In the distance, a very tall man walked over. He was about 5 meters tall and his body was bronze in color. There were terrifying engravings on his body. Was this a giant? Lin Xian was shocked. The surrounding people exclaimed. It was the Stone Tribe's genius. The Stone Clan was an extremely terrifying clan. Their strength was boundless and their defense was astonishing. Their name resounded throughout the heavens. The guards were also stunned. Who dared to fly here? They did not expect that someone would dare to break the rules. So what if you are strong? In front, the Stone Tribe's expert said coldly. I am Shi Bufan. Shi Bufan. When these words came out, the surrounding people were stunned. Heavens, he was Shi Bufan. These people did not dare to believe that Shi Bufan was one of the 8 geniuses. As expected, the guards were also stunned. So it was young Master Shi who had arrived. We had eyes but failed to see. Please forgive us, young Master Shi. They did not dare to pursue the matter of flying in the air. Shi Bufan's identity was frighteningly high. At the same time, a guard took up a horn and blew it. At the same time, another person shouted to the sky. Shi Bufan, one of the 8 geniuses, has arrived. Inside the broken cloud mountain, 8 beautiful women suddenly walked out. Each of them was holding flowers and those were all rare spirit flowers. At this moment, the petals danced in the air. All sorts of heaven and earth techniques intertwined. These people invited Shi Bufan in with the highest treatment. These were the 8 geniuses? They were too strong. Yes, they were completely different from us. Those who had love cards could only look up to the sky and sigh. They could only be checked by the guards and then let in. However, Shi Bufan descended from the sky and was invited in respectfully. The gap between them was simply too great. Even the prideful Hua Yuke had to retract his pride in front of Shi Bufan. Instead, his face was filled with envy. Only Lin Xian was calm. Although Shi Bufan was strong, he was extremely confident in himself. He believed that given time he would soar into the sky. In fact, it would not be long before his name was known throughout the world. In the broken cloud mountain there were pavilions and buildings. The birds were chirping and the flowers were fragrant. It was a celestial scene. In the midst of the crowd, a voice rang out. Shi Bufan, one of the 8 geniuses, has arrived. This voice caused the entire cloud segment mountain to seethe with excitement. Was it the 8 geniuses? Heavens, it was Shi Bufan. He was ranked 3rd among the 8 geniuses. They did not expect him to come this time. Chapter 36:18. These people were too excited. Shi Bufan was one of the most popular candidates for the Wuxia City assessment. Countless beautiful girls screamed, looking as if they wanted to jump into Shi Bufan's arms. In a mountain range, a man stood with his hands clasped behind his back in a pavilion that seemed to be made of celestial jade. His eyes were glowing as he looked into the distance. There were a few people beside him. One of them laughed. Shi Bufan's reputation is really great. Look at those girls, this scene is even more spectacular than when you came. Another person laughed. The others also looked at the person standing at the front. Standing at the front was a man in golden silk robes. His expression was cold and his eyes were bright. The light in his eyes was like a star array, shining with a strange light. This person was called Shi Tianqin. He was extremely powerful and was one of the 8 great sky prides. It's nothing. These are all fleeting clouds. Only strength is the real deal, Shi Tianqin said indifferently. He did not seem to care about the spectacular scene below. I think the person who made the golden distinction board must have a problem with his eyes. How could he rank you lower than Shi Bufan? The voice was ice cold, but there was a hint of coquettishness in it. It came from a woman. The girl was wearing a blue robe, even her hair was blue. She was emitting a cold aura. If she was from the Ice Goddess Class 1, her name was Wang Xiaofeng, the Icely clan's genius. She was also one of the 8 great sky prides. She looked at the man in the golden robe with admiration in her eyes. In her heart, no one could be compared to Shi Tianqin. Shi Tianqin turned around and looked at Wang Xiaofeng with a smile. You can't say that. Shi Bufan is indeed unique. He is from the Stone Clan and his defense is strong. Moreover, he has the rare demon rock body. Not many people are his match. I have never fought with him before. So it's hard to say who will win. Shi Tianqin was not afraid of Shi Bufan at all. However, there was a cold light in his eyes. But if we really fight, I am confident that I can defeat him. Furthermore, I only have one enemy in the Wuxia City assessment, and that is Di Ling. When he said that, the light in his eyes became even more dazzling. It seemed like Shi Tianqin was extremely conceited. Di Ling was his only opponent. Imperial Mausoleum? At the mention of this name, the others also frowned slightly. Because this person was also incomparably terrifying. He was a legend and his strength and reputation were above Shi Bufan's. What was the origin of this Imperial Mausoleum? I still haven't figured it out. One of them shook his head. Another person said. It was said that he came from the first astral realm, but no one knew if that was true or not. Wang Xiaofeng said that he was indeed from the first astral realm. It was hard to imagine that the first astral realm could produce such a legendary figure. Moreover, he was chosen by the spirit sealing star. The reason why he was so powerful and was chosen by the spirit sealing star was because he had the legendary sky burial body. Shi Tianqin said. The others were confused. What's the celestial star body? Why haven't I heard of it? Yes, even Wang Xiaofeng had a puzzled look on her face. It was a very rare body constitution. Moreover, it was a double-edged sword. The so-called sky burial body, you can see it as a very suitable graveyard for burying people. What? Everyone gasped. Burial ground? Are you saying that the Imperial Mausoleum itself is a burial ground? That's unbelievable. However, Shi Tianqin said that there's nothing unbelievable about it. Haven't you heard that there's a strange coffin inside Di Ling's body? That means that he has the sky burial body. The moment these words came out, the few of them sucked in a breath of cold air. They were all top-notch geniuses with extraordinary backgrounds. They had studied Di Ling's mausoleum countless times. Therefore, they knew that there was a strange coffin inside Di Ling's body. When that coffin came out, Di Ling's combat strength would undergo an earth-shattering change. Moreover, the thing inside the coffin could also attack people. It was said that Di Ling had shown it in the heaven-reaching tower. Damn it, he actually has such a body constitution. Then wouldn't he be invincible? Someone exclaimed. During the battle in the heaven-reaching tower, it was said that Di Ling could even fight against a minor saint. Although he has the sky burial body, it's impossible for him to use the coffin without limit. His body wouldn't be able to withstand it. Therefore there's no need to worry, Shi Tianqin said again. Moreover, Wuxia City wouldn't allow Di Ling to use such a thing in the assessment. Moreover, who doesn't have a trump card? He harumphed coldly after saying that. The others' eyes flickered. That being said, Di Ling's mausoleum was really terrifying. No one knew when the coffin in his body would explode. Brother Shui, how confident are you in defeating Di Ling's mausoleum? Wang Xiaofeng asked. The others also pricked up their ears. They wanted to know too. Shui Tianqin shook his head. It's hard to say. If my Shui eye technique can subdue Di Ling, then I'm 100% confident. But if I make a mistake and Di Ling is on guard, then I'm afraid I'll be in trouble. But I've been practicing that technique recently. If I can master that technique, then defeating Di Ling won't be a problem. Could it be that technique? Wang Xiaofeng exclaimed. Shui Tianqin's lips curled up. That's right. It's that technique. I've almost mastered it. I hope I can master it before Wushuang City's assessment. Then I'll be more confident. The palace was filled with shock. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others walked into the broken Cloud Mountain range. Screams and shouts were still echoing in their ears. Of course they were not for them, nor were they for Hua Yuke. It was for Shi Bufan. From this, one could see how famous the 8 great sky prides were. Lin Xian heard many people whispering along the way. This time they had invited many geniuses, including a few of the 8 great sky prides. I wonder if Di Ling will come. Lin Xian was looking forward to it. But after listening for a while, he didn't think Di Ling would come. He was disappointed. To be honest, he was quite interested in Di Ling's mausoleum, especially the coffin in his body. But it seemed like he could only meet Di Ling at Wushuang City's assessment. Jiang Xiaoyu seemed to be very friendly towards Lin Xian. This made Hua Yuke very unhappy. Just as he was about to say something, his body suddenly trembled. It seemed like something was missing from his soul. When he tried to sense it, he couldn't find it. Chapter 36:19. Jiang Xiaoyu, who was at the side, was also puzzled, but she could not find anything. The others exclaimed, but the feeling disappeared in an instant. Lin Xian frowned slightly. A trace of golden light flashed in his eyes and circled around him. Soon he locked onto a mountain range. On the mountain range there was a pavilion that looked like a heavenly palace. The gaze just now came from there. It seemed that there was an expert looking at them. An eye technique expert. Interesting. Lin Xian was interested. Although they had entered Broken Cloud Mountain, there were still 3 days before the real enlightenment session began. Everyone used this time to start making friends and asking around. Lin Xian found a place and sat down. He was ready to spend these 3 days in enlightenment. However, on the second day the surroundings suddenly became lively. It turned out that there were 8 geniuses nearby, and they were extremely terrifying eye technique geniuses. Shui Tianqin. Shui Tianqin was a very powerful genius, ranked 4th among the geniuses. Of course, there were also people who said that Shui Tianqin was definitely in the top 3, but he had been hiding his strength. After all, his eye technique was extremely strange. It could injure the soul and kill instantly. His appearance was no less lively than Shi Bufan's. Countless people followed him. There was a place called Luotian Mountain Stream in front. It was very strange and contained the will of heaven and earth, allowing people to comprehend heaven and earth there. Everyone walked forward. It turned out that this was a very suitable place for cultivation, but ordinary people didn't know about it. Shui Tianqin had a strange eye technique that could discover such a good place. The surrounding people were amazed. As expected of a terrifying eye technique genius. They didn't know that there was such a good place in Broken Cloud Mountain. These people followed one after another, wanting to see what the Luotian Mountain Stream was like. However, when they came close they found that there was someone nearby. There was a young man sitting cross-legged there, seemingly cultivating. Someone had actually beaten him to it? How could it be? Could it be that someone had discovered the wonders of this place? Many people were surprised. However, there were also people who sneered. How could it be? In the entire Yunduan Mountain, other than Shui, who else could discover the wonders of this place? One had to know that not many people knew about the Luotian Mountain Stream. The great Tao of heaven and earth contained in it was not so easy to comprehend. Otherwise, this place would have been occupied by countless people. Hearing this, everyone nodded. Since they were able to come here, their status, talent, and strength were all extraordinary. However, they had never heard of it before. If it weren't for the fact that Water Sky City had brought them here, they would have never heard of it. Even if they were beaten to death, they wouldn't have known that there was such a good place. Who is this guy? Should I tell him to scram? His cultivation doesn't seem to be much. How can such a good place be occupied by an ant like him? Someone sneered. Gongzi Stillwater, do you need us to help you? Someone dared to occupy the place that young Master Shui fancied. Wasn't that courting death? No need, just tell him and let him take the initiative to leave. I don't think he will refuse. Shui Tianqing said indifferently. The others all agreed. Brother Shisui was indeed magnanimous. With young Master Shisui's magnanimity, how could he lower himself to the level of these people? The group of people quickly walked forward. Soon they arrived in front of the Luotian mountain stream. At this moment someone in the crowd exclaimed. It was him. The person who exclaimed was Jiang Xiaoyu. She naturally came to see Water Sky City. After all, the 8 great geniuses were all admired. However, she didn't expect to meet Lin Xian here. Beside her, Hua Yuke was also there. When he saw Lin Xian sitting cross-legged there, he immediately sneered. This guy was really courting death. He actually dared to occupy the place that Water Sky City fancied. Someone beside him snorted coldly. It was like thunder exploding between heaven and earth. Lin Xian opened his eyes and furrowed his brows. Who was disturbing his cultivation? He turned his head and looked into the distance. His eyes flashed with a trace of light. There were actually so many people here. He glanced around and found Jiang Xiaoyu and Hua Wuxia in the crowd. However, the two of them weren't the main characters. The one who made people's eyes shine was a man standing in the center. His figure was slender and his face was expressionless. His eyes were like the vast stars, incomparably deep. When Lin Xian saw the other party's eyes, his soul shook and he revealed a trace of surprise. It was him. Previously, it was this person who used his soul to investigate them. It seemed that this was the eye technique expert. Why are you here? Lin Xian asked coldly. Kid, this is Water Sky City, one of the 8 great geniuses. Now, he wants to come to the Luotian mountain stream to comprehend. Hurry up and leave. This isn't a place for you to stay. You'd better leave. Otherwise you'll make a mistake. Another person said coldly. Luotian mountain stream wants to comprehend here? Lin Xian frowned. Were they trying to snatch his place? He laughed. Why did they have to choose this place? What do you know? This place is extraordinary. Only our young Master Water can discover the mysteries of this place. If it's occupied by someone like you, it'll only be a waste. Those who spoke had thick arrogance and disdain in their eyes. It was obvious that they were Water Sky City's followers. Just now, they had already investigated Lin Xian's cultivation. An early second heavenly layer sage was not worth mentioning in their eyes. Not to mention Shisui Heaven City. You want me to leave? It's not impossible, but is this the attitude to negotiate? Lin Xian sneered. Little treasure, what do you mean? You don't want to leave, or you want to take advantage of the situation? Could it be that you want us to beg you? The other people's faces darkened. However, Water Sky City waved his hand, not letting them continue to say anything. Now that everyone was watching, he couldn't appear to be too bullying. After all, as one of the 8 great geniuses, what he wanted was reputation. So he walked out and said indifferently, Brother, I really need this place. Can you make it convenient for me? In addition, the peak of Lin Yun's broken mountain is not bad. You can cultivate there. This place? It's not impossible to give it to you. Lin Xian said indifferently. Hearing this, everyone was expressionless. In their opinion, no one dared to compete with Shisui Heaven City. In the crowd, Xiaoyu heaved a sigh of relief. Great, she was really afraid that Lin Xian would have a conflict with the other party. Very good. The corner of Water Sky City's mouth raised into a smile, but in the next moment he was stunned. Because Lin Xian continued to say, I heard that you are one of the 8 great geniuses. Why don't you have a match with me? If you win, I will give this place to you. What? These words were like a sudden clap of thunder, causing everyone around to be stunned. What did he say? He wanted to spar with Water Sky City? God, this kid's brain must be flooded with water. Many people looked at Lin Xian as if they were looking at an idiot. Did he know what the 8 great geniuses represented? Immediately, some followers disdained. Kid, who do you think you are? Are you worthy of sparring with our young Master Shisui? That's right, the early stage of the second heaven is like an ant in front of us. Which ignorant boy did you come from? Hurry up and leave lest you get killed. These people looked impatient, and even Water Sky City's face darkened. He wanted to fight with an early stage second heaven saint? What a joke. He wasn't interested at all. Chapter 36:20. Jiang Xiaoyu was also shocked. Heavens, the thing she didn't want to see the most had really happened. This young Master Lin was really, she didn't know what to say. Beside her, Hua Yuke also sneered. What a reckless brat. His eyes were filled with schadenfreude. What, was it disdain or fear? Lin Xian asked again. Hearing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Damn, did this brat really want to fight? They thought that Lin Xian was just saying it to show off, but they didn't expect him to really want to fight. Aqua Sky City didn't say anything and directly ignored Lin Xian. His followers were furious, courting death. At this time someone walked out from the crowd. Everyone calm down. It's just a second heaven ant. Let me help you deal with it. The one who said this was a man with a pointy mouth and ape-like cheeks. However, he was also a second heaven saint, and his cultivation had reached the late stage of the second heaven. From the looks of it, he wasn't a follower. Instead, he was looking for an opportunity to latch onto Pillar Water Sky City's thigh and join the group of followers. That's good too. The followers of Aqua Sky City nodded. They didn't want to fight. Even though they were followers, they were still proud geniuses of their own regions. Now that a second heaven person had taken the initiative to help them, it was the best thing for them. Brat, I'll give you a chance. Hurry up and kowtow to young Master Shui and apologize, then leave quickly. Otherwise, when I attack, your end will be very miserable. The man with a pointy mouth and ape-like cheeks walked out with a cold smile. Lin Xian sat there cross-legged and glanced at him. Ew. There was a trace of disdain in his expression. To be honest, he wasn't interested in a second heaven late-stage cultivator. Courting death. The man with a pointy mouth and ape-like cheeks roared. The terrifying Tao of heaven and earth rumbled, and the entire sky trembled as if it was about to fall. The surrounding people's expressions also changed. It seemed that this guy was also a powerhouse. Since he dared to come out, he naturally had to be strong. The followers smiled with satisfaction. This person's strength was not bad. The others felt that it was a pity. Damn it, why didn't they think of such an opportunity to suck up to him? Thunder and lightning flashed in the sky, grabbing toward the front. It was a giant hand of thunder that wanted to envelop Lin Xian. Lin Xian was still sitting there cross-legged, motionless, allowing the thunder hand to descend. When the others saw this scene, they all sneered. This brat must have been scared silly. That's for sure. Can't you see that he can't even move? How dare they challenge Water Sky City? They really don't know what death is. Yuk sneered. Let's see how you'll die. Jiang Xiaoyu, on the other hand, was extremely nervous. Young Master Lin quickly made a move. If he really couldn't do it, he could just admit his mistake. She was afraid that Lin Xian's life would be in danger. Lin Xian glanced at Uncle Thunder's hand above his head and coldly shouted, "Scram!" With a furious roar, it was as if 10,000 thunderbolts had exploded, and the huge hand of thunder was shattered. The man who attacked also seemed to have been struck by lightning. He suddenly vomited blood and was sent flying. Several large cracks appeared on his body, and even his internal organs could be seen. It was extremely shocking. How is this possible? The surrounding people screamed, and their eyes widened in disbelief. What did they see? The monkey-faced man was injured by a sound wave. This was too inconceivable. The followers were also stunned. This brat actually had such strength. In the crowd, Jiang Xiaoyu heaved a sigh of relief. This is great. Yuk gritted her teeth. How is this possible? How could this brat defeat a late-stage second heavenly layer saint? Furthermore, he defeated him with a sound wave. Could it be that his strength had already entered the third heavenly layer saint? The surrounding onlookers were also whispering. It seemed that this was a genius. They didn't expect that they had misjudged him. What's the big deal? The followers sneered. Brat, I admit that you have some strength, but that's all. You can fight above your level. You are indeed a genius. Now I'll give you a chance. Apologize to our young master Shui, and we'll allow you to become his follower. Hearing this, many people's eyes turned red. They looked at Lin Xian with envy. One had to know that not everyone could become a follower. One had to be a genius. Becoming a follower was the greatest honor. Let me become a follower? Does he have the qualifications? Lin Xian shook his head. These people were really short-sighted. They were actually willing to be a follower. You dare to look down on young Master Shui? Some of the followers couldn't stand it anymore. They didn't want to attack you, but you provoked us again and again. It seemed that they had to teach you a lesson. A mere second heavenly layer ant was provoking them. They couldn't tolerate it. Immediately, an extraordinarily mighty man in battle armor walked out. He raised his hand and shot out a sword chi. It directly rushed towards Lin Xian's forehead. The terrifying sword chi spread out in all directions, causing everyone to be frightened. This sage had the strength of a third heavenly layer. However, Lin Xian sneered. How could this be called sword chi? He stretched out a large golden hand and slapped forward. In an instant he caught the terrifying sword chi and crushed it. Endless brilliance scattered on the ground. The man who attacked took 2 steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was full of disbelief. His whole body trembled and he couldn't speak. Lin Xian was still sitting there and said indifferently, "You can't do it. Let your young master Shui do it." The surrounding onlookers gasped and their eyes widened. Who was this person? This brat was actually so strong. Where did this freak come from? Who knew who he was? Now these people were very curious about Lin Xian's identity, because Lin Xian's performance was really too shocking. First, he injured a late second heavenly layer sage with a sound wave. Now he crushed the sword chi of a third heavenly layer sage with a single hand. All of this showed that the other party was extraordinary. Lin Xian didn't pay attention to the person who attacked. Instead he looked at Shui Sky City. What, you still don't want to make a move? Do you care so much about your reputation? Or do you not dare to stand? Lin Xian's eyes burst out with a biting cold light. Shui Sky City frowned slightly, but still didn't make a move. The other party's performance was beyond his expectations. But in his opinion that was all. The other party was not bad, but he still didn't take him seriously. If you want to fight with young Master Shui, you have to get through me first. Another person walked out. This was a burly man. His body was emitting extremely terrifying flames like a fire god. As soon as he walked out, he brought with him huge waves. Oh, defeating you will make that guy make a move? Are you sure? That's right, I am the third follower of young Master Shui. If you defeat me, you will have the qualifications to challenge young Master Shui. What? He was the third follower? Was the lava sage? Heavens, his strength was very terrifying. That was for sure. He was the third follower. There were very few people who could defeat him. Everyone was discussing animatedly. It was obvious that they were terrified of this fire god-like character. Chapter 36:21. The lava saint roared and spat out a terrifying flame that turned into a flame law that flew towards Lin Fan. He wanted to refine Lin Xian completely. This was the fire of 10,000 rivers, which could burn everything. Even a level 3 sage would die in it. The surrounding people retreated frantically, not daring to get close to it. However, Lin Xian did not move at all, allowing the flames to engulf him. Ah! The lava saint laughed out loud. You're just a mere ant and you dare to go against us? The other followers also sneered, while the surrounding onlookers gasped in shock. Was it going to end like this? The difference was too great. That was natural. After all, he was the third follower. How could that kid fight against him? Young Master Lin. Jiang Xiaoyu was so nervous that her face turned pale. Hua Yuke snorted coldly. What a fool. In front of them, in the flames, the law spread, but at this moment, a voice sounded. It was a comfortable feeling. The power of your flames was not bad, but it would not affect me much. Don't you have any more powerful flames? Everyone was stunned when they heard the voice. Young Master Lin was not dead. Jiang Xiaoyu exclaimed. How was that possible? Hua Yuke's eyes almost popped out. The expressions of the followers changed drastically. How was it possible that Yi Fuqian was still alive? One had to know that the lava saint was the third follower. Apart from the 8 supreme geniuses, only the other 2 followers dared to fight against the flames of Rongjiang. The other followers did not dare to fight back at all. How could such a terrifying flame not burn Lin Fan to death? Damn it, I don't believe it. The giant of Rongjiang roared, and the law surrounded his body. Terrifying flames filled the sky. He immediately struck out a powerful blow. A streak of fiery red divine thought flew out like a bolt of lightning. Boom. The law of fire in front of him was even more terrifying. This time Lin Fan's soul should be destroyed. The lava saint thought so, and so did the others. Ah, that's not enough. Lin Xian laughed and sucked hard. The flames of the 9 heavens and 10 earths turned into a torrent and were sucked into his mouth. In an instant, the terrifying flames in front of him completely disappeared. Lin Xian was still standing there without the slightest injury. There wasn't even a speck of dust on him. Those people trembled and stuttered. They were unable to describe their current feelings. What did they see? Damn it, is this kid a monster? Such a terrifying flame was actually eaten by the other party. Not only that, there were no injuries on his body. What kind of physique was this? Was he wearing a saint artifact armor? How could this be? The molten lava saint also shrieked, revealing an extremely terrified expression. What was going on with the other party? Damn it, this kid is too strange. Now have a taste of my flames. Lin Xian opened his mouth and spat out a terrifying golden flame. This is the 9 Yang divine flame. As soon as it appeared, it burned fiercely in the sky like the sun. It emitted a scorching light. This flame scared everyone out of their wits and they almost knelt on the ground. They kept retreating, and the lava saint's expression changed drastically. Block it for me. The flame laws on his body were even more monstrous, but in an instant he screamed in pain. After being enveloped by the golden flame, his skin was burnt and his flesh was torn apart. He screamed continuously. He broke through the void and completely escaped from the sea of flames. Only then did he preserve his life. The lava saint was incomparably miserable at this moment. His body was charred black and there were cracks and blood everywhere. There was a burning smell. He looked extremely miserable. The surroundings were completely silent. They were truly stunned. This scene was completely different from what they had imagined. Jianghu was excited. This is great, young Master Lin is actually so powerful. Hua Yuk's hand that was holding the fan trembled. Monster, this is a monster. Previously he was still disdainful of Lin Xian, thinking that Lin Xian was courting death. But now he was terrified. The reason for that was because the power that Lin Xian had displayed was simply too powerful. He actually defeated the third follower. One had to know that he was no match for the third follower at all. In other words, the other party's strength surpassed his. How could he not be terrified in the face of an expert? Damn it, those followers' faces were also incomparably ugly. Why did they meet such a ruthless person today? Damn it, who the hell are you? Rongjiang Giant gritted his teeth and asked. Today he had really lost all his face. Lin Xian finally stood up. He stood with his hands behind his back and said in a deep voice, I am Lin Wudi. It's not embarrassing for you to lose to me. Lin Wudi. Everyone's heart trembled fiercely. This guy actually dared to call himself invincible. Wasn't he too arrogant? Yes, the 8 great geniuses did not dare to call themselves invincible. Even Aqua Sky City did not dare to call themselves invincible. But now, an unfamiliar young man actually dared to call himself invincible. Where did his confidence come from? You dare to call yourself invincible? I'll fight you. The first follower could not hold it in anymore and walked out. However, at this moment Aqua Sky City did indeed speak. You guys can leave. I'll deal with this kid personally. What? Everyone was stunned. Aqua Sky City was going to do it personally? Heavens, this was too unbelievable. Aqua Sky City was one of the 8 great geniuses and he was ranked 4th. It was said that he could even be ranked in the top. How terrifying was a genius like him? Lin Wudi, right? You're not bad. You actually defeated my follower. You're worthy of me taking action. Aqua Sky City said indifferently. However, you're too arrogant. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You can't call yourself invincible. So, change your name as soon as possible. Otherwise, you won't know when you'll die in the wilderness. You're wrong. Lin Xian's expression was also serious. Invincible is not my name but my title. My heart is invincible. It's not something you can imagine. Lin Xian's body was very light at this moment and he was incomparably serious. For some reason, everyone had an illusion at this moment. It was as if they were not facing a second heaven sage, but a supreme emperor. The invincible aura of the other party suppressed them to the point that they almost couldn't breathe. Hua Yuke felt that his pants were wet. He was about to pee his pants. Jiang Xiaoyu, who was beside him, had a look of infatuation. This was a true powerhouse, a peerless hero. The title. Aqua Sky City's face sank. He naturally knew what the other party meant. If the other party's name was Lin Wudi, then it could only be said that the other party's parents and elders wished for him to be invincible. However, if it was a title, then it was completely different. It meant that the other party gave it to himself. The other party wanted to walk the path of invincibility. What a joke. He didn't even dare to walk this path. How could the other party, who was in a lower realm than him, chase him away? Aqua Sky City felt humiliated and humiliated. I'll let you know that not everyone deserves to be invincible. Today you've made a fatal mistake. Aqua Sky City's expression was incomparably cold. Make your move. You only have one chance. Chapter 36-22. Heavens. Shui Tianqin was serious. That kid was dead for sure. Once Shui Tianqin was serious, not many of the 8 great sky prides were his match. This should be the result of a one-hit kill. This kid was strong, definitely a sky pride. But unfortunately he met Shui Tianqin. Yes, he was too arrogant. He challenged Shui Tianqin time and time again, and he even dared to use the title of invincible. The 8 great sky prides would not allow such a person to exist. Whispers could be heard from the surroundings. Those followers were pushed to the back, their eyes filled with excitement. Shui Tianqin could definitely kill his opponent instantly. Why UK sneered again. Great, this kid was courting death. It would be best if he was killed by his eye technique. Jiang Xiaoyu was also worried because Shui Tianchen's reputation was too strong. This was especially true when the other party cultivated eye techniques. The eye techniques of the Zishui clan had always been famous in the heavens. Shui Tianchen was the most outstanding disciple of the Zishui clan. His eye technique was terrifying. His opponent would usually be killed by his soul without knowing what happened. Indeed, there were stars in Shui Tianchen's eyes. It formed a starry sky, shining with a terrifying light. As his eyes flashed, the surrounding sages were shocked. Their souls were beating, as if they were going to be extinguished. This was only the eye of Shui. These sages could not take it anymore. If he used his full strength, no one would be able to resist him. Nearby there were a few stalwart figures. They were also shocked. One of them he was tall, like a giant. He was Shi Bufan. At this moment he could feel the power of the eyes and his face changed. What a powerful eye technique. This guy had become stronger again. Shi Bufan was the third strongest among the 8 great sky prides. Especially his terrifying demon rock body. But facing the eye technique attack, he was still shocked. The other person was Wang Xiaofeng. She was also one of the 8 great sky prides, but her face was filled with surprise. Great, Shui Tianchen was closer to that step. He should be able to succeed soon. There were also some veteran experts and even eye technique experts who believed themselves to be extraordinary. They had been cultivating eye techniques for thousands of years. But in front of this young man they felt a strong sense of powerlessness. They had no chance of winning against Shui Tianchen. A technique? Among the people present, the calmest one was Lin Xian. He even felt excited when he sensed the ancient saint aura coming from the other party's eyes. It just so happens that I've also cultivated a type of eye technique. Why don't we have a competition? What? This brat wanted to compete with Shui Tianchen in eye techniques. The surrounding people were all scared silly. They were all saints and had experienced countless things, but they had never been as thrilling as today. Was this kid retarded? He actually dared to compete with Shui Tianchen in eye techniques. One had to know that Shui Tianchen had an eye technique bloodline. In the eye technique, he was a saint of the older generation. They were no match for him either. As for the kid on the other side, based on the previous battle, he should be the type with a strong physique similar to Shi Bufan. But now the other party wanted to give up his advantage and compete with eye techniques. Wasn't he courting death? Shui Tianchen was stunned, then his eyes were filled with disdain. Seems like I've overestimated you. And you're just an ant. The reason why the 8 great geniuses were so outstanding was not only because of their talent and bloodline, but also because they knew how to make use of their advantages. For example, when he fought with Shi Bufan would definitely not compete with him in eye techniques. Shi Bufan would use his strong physique to suppress him. His opponent obviously had a strong physique, but he didn't use it. How stupid. Is that so? You'll know soon enough. My strength is not just my physique. Lin Xian smiled. A golden light appeared in his eyes. Suddenly, everyone's heart almost stopped. Their faces turned pale and they looked terrified. Damn it, what's going on? At that moment I felt like I was killed instantly. That's impossible. Screams rang out. Those who followed him started to tremble. Shui Tianchen's eyes also shrank. This aura. This threat, it's an eye technique. He was too familiar with it. He knew that his eyes could make others feel suffocated, but he had never thought that he would feel the same way from someone else. He raised his head and the starry sky diagram in his eyes shone brightly as he stared at his opponent. He saw that Lin Xian's eyes had turned golden. It was pure gold. As the golden light flowed, there was a terrifying aura that was hard to suppress. Lin Xian was an eye technique expert. He had been fooled. Shui Tianchen's face was solemn. He had never thought that he would meet an eye technique expert here. What a surprise. The others were also in an uproar. It was unbelievable that this kid was an eye technique sage. Where did he come from? Lin Wudi, why had they never heard of him before? It was normal. The universe was so vast and the second astral boundary was so vast. There were a few hidden monsters in the universe. It was normal that no one knew about them. This time Lin Xian must be here for Wushuang City's test. Indeed, everyone knew that the 8 great sky prides were extremely dazzling, but they were not the strongest in the second astral boundary. After all, there were some people who hid themselves and no one knew about them. For example, the young man in front of them. They had thought that he was a weakling, but now it seemed that he was a hidden dragon. Once he got serious, his power would be shocking. Interesting, the 8 great sky prides had finally met their match. This person's eye technique was too powerful. The older generation was also shocked. They felt their hearts pounding. Wang Xiaofeng was shocked. Unbelievable. What was wrong with this guy? Where did his golden eyes come from? No matter how hard she thought about it, she had never thought of any ocular technique that was golden in color. Shi Bufan stood in the distance. Lin Xian's image was reflected in his eyes. This guy was not ordinary. Where did this genius come from? He was already interested in Lin Xian's physique previously. He did not expect Lin Xian to use an eye technique. This made him even more shocked. Now I'm going to attack. Watch carefully. Lin Xian said coldly. In the next moment, the golden light in his eyes spun rapidly and formed a strange golden pattern. Suddenly, a golden flame flew out from his eyes and floated forward. There was not much flame. It was pathetically little compared to the 9 suns divine fire that he had used previously. However, its power was even more terrifying. As soon as it appeared, the entire world was distorted. The others retreated frantically. If they did not retreat, their souls would be completely ignited and turned into ashes. Chapter 36-23. Terrifying. This kid's eye technique is so violent. Everyone was shocked. Lin Xian was truly one to shock the heavens the moment he moved. The flame shocked everyone, even Shi Tianchen's expression changed. His soul was under great threat and he was almost injured. He gritted his teeth and his face turned pale. The stars in his eyes were flickering as he fought back. Too strong, so strong that it was beyond his expectations. To be honest, he had never taken Lin Xian seriously. When he heard that Lin Xian wanted to compete with his eye technique, he did not care. But now Lin Xian's eye technique shocked him. Lin Xian's eye technique was not weaker than his. Not good. Retreat. Because of his carelessness, he was at a disadvantage and he could only retreat. Shi Tianchen retreated. The surrounding people were shocked and they could not believe it. That was Shi Tianchen, a top expert in the eye technique world. But now he was actually forced to retreat. Furthermore, he was forced to retreat by an eye technique. Could it be that this kid was really invincible? How is this possible? Those followers also screamed crazily. They couldn't accept this fact at all. Lin Xian's heavenly secret divine eyes shone with golden light again. It pierced through the void and shrouded the area. Although Shi Tianchen had retreated, he was still shrouded by the golden light. In the next moment, a monstrous flame bloomed with terrifying power. Shi Tianchen's body shook as his soul was impacted. Damn it, Shi realm. The stars in his eyes shone. Countless rays of starlight burst out. It shrouded him. Like a mirror. To ward off the terrible flames. Boom, 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 boom. Shi Tianchen's body was pushed back by the earth-shattering sound. He managed to block it in the end. The stars in his body dimmed as if they would be extinguished at any moment. The space between him and Lin Xian was shattered and turned into chaos. The surrounding people were shocked. What kind of eye technique was that? It was too terrifying to be able to make Shi Tianchen suffer. Damn kid, how dare you hurt me? Shi Tianchen stood up, gritting his teeth. His eyes glinted coldly. He was truly enraged. No one had ever been able to put him in such a difficult position. Moreover, it was in the eye technique that he was so proud of. On the other side, Lin Xian nodded slightly. Not bad, you have some strength. You were actually able to escape from my eye technique. I have to admit, you do have the right to be called a heaven's favorite. What kind of tone was that? It sounded like an expert commenting on a junior. Shi Tianchen almost coughed up blood. Kill. With a furious roar, the light in his eyes began to change, turning into a deep blue color. A terrifying aura spread out, and the entire world seemed to have turned into a starry sky. Everyone felt dizzy. They felt as if their souls were about to fall into endless darkness. At this moment, the light in the other party's eyes suddenly burst out, turning into shooting stars one after another. A technique, starlight. In an instant, everyone felt as if their souls had fallen. That feeling of loneliness and helplessness almost made them collapse. Although it wasn't as violent as the eye technique flame, it was still extremely terrifying. The slightest carelessness would cause one to fall into the cycle of reincarnation. Interesting. Lin Xian was also shocked. His eyelids twitched as he felt a sense of danger coming from his soul. Shi Tianchen's eye technique was indeed terrifying. Unfortunately, he had encountered Lin Xian. Lin Xian's heavenly secret divine eyes were not something that ordinary people could imagine. Hence he attacked again. The golden light in his eyes once again formed a strange rune. Eye technique, Spring and Autumn Lock. Lin Xian's eyes glowed with golden light once again. This time he used an illusion technique, Spring and Autumn Lock. It was a new eye technique that he had unlocked after his cultivation had increased. It was truly incomparably terrifying, and its might was much stronger than the floating light from before. This eye technique could create an illusion world. People could spend countless years in there as if they had lived for an entire lifetime. If one's soul was weak, they would be lost in there, unable to come out. Living for hundreds or even thousands of years inside could very well be just a second outside. It was truly terrifying. Hence, when this eye technique was used, the surrounding people screamed. Not good, retreat. Damn it, what was this? They screamed crazily. Some of them were hit and fell to the ground, unconscious. The others closed their eyes, not daring to look. Spring and Autumn Lock versus Starlight. Both of them belonged to the category of illusions. Even though there was a silent annihilation when they intertwined, the terrifying collision of lightning was even more frightening. The two eye techniques persisted in the air. Gradually, Shui Tianchen's body trembled and he kept retreating. His soul was attacked by the illusion and he was almost lost in it. Fortunately, he was also an expert in eye techniques. With the help of Starlight, most of the power of the Spring and Autumn Lock was neutralized. Otherwise, the previous attack would have locked his soul and he would never be able to come out. It was too terrifying. This person's eye technique was not inferior to his. Shui Tianchen's Heart Sutra was unparalleled. Where did this monster come from? Why hadn't he heard of him before? On the other side, Lin Xian was also surprised. The Shui clan really surprised him. This eye technique was the strongest one he had ever seen. You are worthy of my full strength. His body swayed and he quickly attacked. At the same time, he used his eye technique again. The golden light was so dazzling that no one dared to look at it except for Shui Tianchen. The two kept colliding. Suddenly, Lin Xian formed a seal and the blue tide appeared. Suddenly, a green light appeared in his golden eyes. It was like a green tide and a terrifying energy surged out. The energy was so terrifying that Shui Tianchen kept retreating and spitting out a mouthful of blood. Damn it, this eye technique. He realized that this eye technique was completely different from the Spring and Autumn Lock. It was also different from the golden flames. This was another eye technique attack. It was too strong. It used the stacking of the soul to hurt the opponent. How many eye techniques did the opponent have? He was horrified. In the next moment, his body stiffened because his soul was hurt by the blue tide. Therefore, he did not hold on. He was pulled into the illusion by the Spring and Autumn Lock. Bust. He realized that the scene around him had changed. He appeared in a strange space. A small village appeared around him. Smoke rose from kitchen chimneys, and birds sang and flowers bloomed. His body actually shrank and became younger. In the end, he became a baby in the arms of a woman. No, this can't be real. Everything is an illusion. Shui Tianchen struggled frantically. I don't believe it. Destroy. However, this illusion world was too real. Although Shui Tianchen did not believe it. But in his subconscious, it had been corroded. Therefore he was still a baby. Gradually he was raised bit by bit. Then he really lost himself. Chapter 36-24. Shui Tianchen turned into a young man, learning from the teachers of the village, very happy. Then one day a group of bandits rushed into their village and started a massacre. Everyone was killed except for him. He roared madly, his heart filled with despair, then he was forced to join the bandits, enduring hardships. 5 years later he became a young man and learned a lot of martial arts. Finally he killed all the bandits. Then he traveled the world with his sword, met another young girl and made her fall in love, marry and have a child. Then the child grew up and he grew older day by day, his wife also passed away and finally he had 1 foot in the grave, a candle in the wind. Suddenly his eyes turned cold. I am Shui Tianchen, I will not die. With a roar, his head once again turned from white to black, and his shriveled face also became rosy. In the next moment he turned into a handsome young man roaring at the sky. This is an illusion, I will not die. Is that so? A pair of golden eyes appeared in the sky. Do you really think this is an illusion? This is your first spring and autumn, next the second spring and autumn. Shui Tianchen found himself shrinking again, turning into a baby, but this time he was not in a village. He was born in a rich family. I will not accept this. Shui Tianchen wanted to go crazy, but he was guided by a mysterious force, and he gradually lost himself again. Again, and again, after an unknown number of lifetimes, Shui Tianchen was completely lost. He could not remember who he was, and he was reincarnated like this for life after life. The people outside were completely stunned. They saw Shui Tianchen standing there, crying, laughing, and going crazy. It was as if he had become a class of idiots. What happened? They widened their eyes in disbelief. Did Shui Tianchen become crazy? Or was he hit by an eye technique? Thinking of this possibility, they all gasped. Was Shui Tianchen also hit by an eye technique? That was unbelievable. Shui, wake up. Finally, Wang Xiaofeng could not take it anymore. She jumped out, no longer caring about winning or losing. His body exuded a terrifying aura of ice as he directly slapped toward Shui Tianchen. A terrifying frost spread out, covering Shui Tianchen's body. The terrifying frost laws penetrated deep into his bones. Shui Tianchen fell to the ground. In the next moment he regained his senses. Ah! He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Shui, are you alright? Wang Xiaofeng was extremely nervous. His followers also surrounded him. Shui Tianchen was lying on the ground with blood flowing from his body. His eyes were empty, and the star formation in his eyes dimmed. 73 cycles of reincarnation, 73 spring and autumn cycles. I've actually sunk into oblivion. I've completely lost. Shui Tianchen's eyes were suddenly filled with tears. He is a member of the Stillwater clan and has received a lot of attention since he was a child because of his extraordinary bloodline. His eye techniques had been outstanding since he was young, and he was considered by the clan to be the one who had the highest chance of surpassing the old ancestor. In the end, reality proved that he was indeed very strong. He advanced by leaps and bounds all the way until he finally stood at his current position. He was one of the 8 geniuses. But now he had lost in the hands of a stranger. His opponent's eye technique had completely sunk him into oblivion. If Wang Xiaofeng had not used the law of ice to awaken him, he would have continued to reincarnate. Who are you? Who are you? Wang Xiaofeng raised her head and screamed. She had never seen Shui Tianchen in such a sorry state. Me? I've already said that I'm Lin Wudi. Lin Xian stood up, his expression was unprecedentedly serious. You're already considered a top soul expert to be able to withstand my attacks for 73 cycles without dying. Lin Xian nodded slightly, acknowledging Shui Tianchen's strength. But Shui Tianchen could not accept it. Why would he need the approval of someone younger than him? What a joke. But he could not refute it because his opponent had the strength to look down on him. The surrounding people swallowed their saliva. This was something that they had never imagined in their entire lives. Lin Wudi. They kept repeating this name. Previously their faces were full of disdain, but now their faces were full of fear. It wouldn't be long before this name would resound throughout the world, and it would even resound throughout the myriad realms. It seemed like the 8 geniuses had finally found their match. They had thought that Wushuang City was the most likely candidate to win the championship. They thought that it would be one of the 8 geniuses. But now, it seemed like there would be new geniuses coming in from the outside. And this was just the beginning. Who knew if there would be other experts coming across the world? Carry Shui down to rest. Wang Xiaofeng said coldly. Her followers quickly carried Shui Tianchen down and took good care of him. The scene was eerily silent. No one dared to say anything. Lin Xian stood in front of Luotian Mountain with his hands behind his back, looking lonely. He looked like a lonely expert. At this moment, Wang Xiaofeng stood up. That move just now, was it called locking spring in autumn? That's right. Lin Xian nodded. What? You want to avenge him and try the power of locking spring in autumn? You can't block it. After saying that, he shook his head again. Wang Xiaofeng snorted. I naturally know that I can't block your eye technique. But do you dare to compete with me in other aspects? For example, without using eye techniques, let's compete in laws. When these words came out, the crowd was in an uproar. They didn't expect Wang Xiaofeng to actually make a move. Someone said that it was rumored that Wang Xiaofeng had always been secretly in love with Shui Tianchen. In the past they thought it was just a rumor. Now it seemed like it was possible. This kid defeated Shui Tianchen and also angered Wang Xiaofeng. Wang Xiaofeng was also one of the 8 geniuses. If they didn't compete in eye techniques, would that kid dare to accept the challenge? He probably wouldn't. He should be an expert in eye techniques. His laws shouldn't be strong. After all, a person's energy was limited. It was impossible to be strong in every aspect. This was the consensus of everyone. For example, if Shui Tianchen's eye technique was strong, then his physique wouldn't be too strong. As for Wang Xiaofeng, she didn't know eye techniques, but her laws were extremely terrifying. Now that she wanted to compete in laws with him, wasn't this a little bullying? They guessed that Lin Xian wouldn't agree. However, what surprised them was that Lin Xian actually nodded slightly. Compete in laws? Sure, I accept your challenge. Heavens, he actually agreed. How was this possible? Those people felt that they had gone crazy. This was too unbelievable. It was completely out of their expectations. Chapter 36-25. Was he really going to compete in laws? Everyone felt like they were going crazy. They didn't expect Lin Xian to really fight. Wasn't this kid too arrogant? Yes, if he used his eye technique to deal with Wang Xiaofeng, he would definitely win. But now he really didn't have much of a chance of winning. Sure enough, Wang Xiaofeng's lips curled into a smile. It seemed that he still didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Did he think that just because his eye technique was strong, everything else was strong? Today I'll show you who's the king in the domain of laws. At this point she released a terrifying aura. Water blue frost quickly spread, and the entire world turned into a world of ice. Everyone was shivering from the cold. Even if they were saints, they couldn't withstand Wang Xiaofeng's ice laws. They wondered what kind of laws that kid was using. Everyone retreated and used their sacred domains to defend. At the same time they were puzzled. They had already seen Lin Xian's eye technique and his strong physique, but they hadn't seen Lin Xian's laws. Therefore they were very curious about what kind of law Lin Xian's law was. Facing such a terrifying ice law, Lin Xian's expression was incomparably calm. To be honest, this law could be blocked by his divine body. But he said that this time, they wouldn't compete in anything else but laws. So, with a wave of his hand, boundless laws flew out and jumped between heaven and earth. Flame fragments danced and bloomed, blocking the ice in front of them. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. It was the law of fire. This kid was a fire elemental saint. No wonder he dared to accept the challenge. Ice and fire were two completely opposite laws. It was just a matter of whose was stronger. Fire laws? You think you can restrain me? Wang Xiaofeng snorted coldly, and the laws on her body became even brighter. There were even blue lines all over her body. It was like a dream, causing the power of the laws to skyrocket. Not good, it's bloodline power. This Wang Xiaofeng was really angry. He used his bloodline power right from the start. He was going to take revenge on Water Sky City. That's right. As a prodigy of the Ice Beauty race, Wang Xiaofeng's bloodline naturally contained the aura of ice. Hence, at this moment, the power of her bloodline combined with the law of ice caused the power of her ice to multiply. The surrounding sages trembled as if they were about to be frozen. Even their souls had become numb. Whoosh! The frightening law of ice, combined with the power of his bloodline, turned into a storm that swept forward. In an instant, those flames were completely frozen into ice cubes and fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, Wang Xiaofeng shouted, "Let's see how you're going to fight this time. It's over. The brat can't block it at all." That's right, how could the power of his flames withstand the frost laws? Did the power of the ice increase? Lin Xian's face was filled with astonishment as he looked at the countless layers of frost surrounding him. That was interesting. He smiled faintly and waved his hand. Immediately, the flames began to flicker once more. This time it wasn't a simple flame. Instead, it turned into a five-colored light. The law of five elements had completely come out. As soon as the law of five elements appeared, it carried the power of mutual promotion and suppression. It formed a five-colored circle that surrounded Lin Xian. The surrounding ice could no longer move forward. What's going on? Why did the ice stop? What did that brat use? Five-colored light. Could it be that he used a Dharma treasure? No way. Isn't that equivalent to breaking the rules? Everyone was discussing animatedly. However, one of the sages exclaimed, "That wasn't a Dharma treasure of the five elements, but the law of five elements." This brat actually comprehended the law of five elements. What? He comprehended the law of five elements? The surrounding people were all stunned. They didn't expect that Lin Xian actually comprehended this kind of mixed law. One had to know that this was really unbelievable. In the case of Class 1, it was very normal to comprehend multiple laws. There were very few people like Wang Xiaofeng who only comprehended the law of ice. However, once they cultivated it, they would be very powerful. Other ordinary saints would comprehend a few types of laws, but these few types of laws existed independently. For Lin Xian, the law of five elements was a mixed law because it could combine the five elements into one. In addition, there were also the law of yin and yang and so on. All of them complemented each other, and their combined might was definitely much more terrifying than the other individual laws combined. However, it was also much more difficult to cultivate it. Very few people could cultivate it. They didn't expect that the other party would actually cultivate this kind of mixed law. This was really too unbelievable. This brat first had a strong eye technique, but he also had the law of 5 elements. How did he do it? Could it be that he wasn't a young man, but an old monster who had lived for 5 to 6,000 years? Wang Xiaofeng was also stunned. The law of 5 elements? Her expression became incomparably ugly. If the other party had the law of fire, then she was 100% confident of winning. However, the law of 5 elements was not necessarily so. Wang Xiaofeng made a certain decision. So what if it was the law of 5 elements? This time I will definitely defeat you and take revenge for Shishui. There was a hint of coldness on her white jade-like face. In the next moment, the ice in her body exploded again. Shimming ice domain. These ice laws formed a small world, directly enveloping Lin Xian completely. Moreover, a cold voice sounded. This is my world. In my domain I can control everything at will. Today I will freeze you. As her voice fell, a monstrous wave of ice swept over. Was this Wang Xiaofeng's sacred domain? It seemed like she was really going to go all out. The people outside were extremely shocked. In the sacred domain, Lin Xian's expression was solemn. She had already taken out her sacred domain? Then he would fight with all his strength. Bus, bus. He stretched out his palm, and the law of 5 elements quickly revolved in his hand, forming a law sword. A terrifying aura emanated from the sword of laws. Not good. Wang Xiaofeng's expression changed instantly. This aura was too threatening to her, so she roared and pushed with her jade-like hand. A storm with the law rushed over like an ice phoenix. This attack was really too terrifying. The surrounding sages were about to faint from fright. They couldn't resist at all. This kind of ice power would probably freeze them to death in an instant. Even Shi Bufan in the distance was shocked. This Wang Xiaofeng was even more powerful than he had imagined. It seemed that during this period of time her strength should have increased. I wonder how that kid is going to fight against her. This was also the thought of the others. They all wanted to see if Lin Xian would be frozen, or was he going to prepare for a desperate counterattack. Suddenly their souls trembled and a sword cry sounded. Then a 5-colored light exploded, and the Xianming ice domain instantly shook violently. Boom! Between heaven and earth, tens of thousands of thunder roared, followed by a terrifying explosion of light. Everyone couldn't open their eyes at all. Damn it, what happened? They couldn't look directly at that light at all, and could only retreat quickly while roaring repeatedly. In the next moment there was a loud sound and the light that filled the sky disappeared. They suddenly raised their heads and looked forward. They were dumbfounded. The Xianming ice domain in front of them was actually split into 2, and the huge crack carried a terrifying power. It danced in the sky. It made their scalps tingle. What did that kid use just now? He actually split the sacred domain. Chapter 36-26. Wang Xiaofeng's delicate body trembled slightly, and her face became incomparably pale without a trace of blood. In the end, she sighed with an incomparably desolate expression. I've lost. Although it was only 3 words, it was like a huge mountain that pressed down on her heart. She had never thought that she would lose to him in a contest of laws. The other party's 5 elemental laws were really too strong. What? Wang Xiaofeng actually took the initiative to admit defeat. It seemed that the other party's 5 elemental laws were really powerful to the extreme. Everyone exclaimed. Lin Wudi was really too heaven-defying. No wonder he dared to use the title of invincible. The surrounding people were incomparably excited as if they had been injected with chicken blood. They originally came to see the 8 great geniuses, but they didn't expect to see another peerless genius who was slowly rising. Thank you for letting me win. Lin Xian nodded slightly. Who else is going to make a move? He looked around in all directions. Everyone was silent. Shui Tianqing had bowed and Wang Xiaofeng had also bowed. 2 of the 8 great geniuses had lost to him. Who else dared to make a move? I'll do it. At this moment, a loud and clear voice rang out. Then the sky began to tremble in all directions. A demon-like figure stood out. Everyone swallowed their saliva. Shi Bufan. Heavens, is he going to make a move too? He was the 3rd existence among the 8 great geniuses. The fact that he could suppress Shui Tianqing was enough to show that he was extraordinary. Shi Bufan's physique is strong and his strength is boundless. He has the demonic rock body. I wonder what he's going to compete with the other party. Lin Xian also looked up. Shi Bufan? He narrowed his eyes. It seems that you're going to compete with me in terms of physique. That's right. Shi Bufan nodded. I saw that your physique is not bad just now. Do you dare to compete with me once? Let's not use techniques, laws, or weapons. We'll fight with pure physical strength. As soon as these words came out, the crowd was in an uproar. Competing with physical strength? Isn't that bullying? Everyone knew that Shi Bufan had the demonic rock body. Who could resist such a famous physique? Even if this kid has an extraordinary physique, he probably won't be able to resist. However, Lin Xian nodded. Let's compete in physique then. Damn, this world is too crazy. Everyone was speechless. Could it be that this guy was also incomparably confident in his own physique? If that was really the case, then this person was really too heaven-defying. Powerful eye techniques, terrifying laws, and a heaven-defying physique. Who could contend against such a person? Shi Bufan laughed heartily at Lin Xian's boldness. Kid, I won't bully you. Let's exchange 3 moves. 3 moves to determine the victor, how about that? Very good, I also like decisive battles. Lin Xian revealed a smile. You make the first move. Let me see if your physique is worthy of me making a move. Shi Bufan released a terrifying light. With a loud shout, he stomped his foot, causing the mountains to crumble and the earth to crack. Terrifying devil rock patterns appeared on his body. What kind of pressure was this? It was unknown how many tens of thousands of miles it had spread. Everyone's breathing became irregular. Those saints could not resist at all. That was merely the power of his physical body. If they were to be hit by such a physique, they would instantly turn into a bloody mist. Then I won't hold back. Lin Xian's eyes also burst with a piercing cold light. In the next moment, countless golden patterns appeared on his body, densely packed. At this moment he had transformed into a golden god of war. He clenched his right fist and swept it out. Boom. His fist seemed to have transformed into a sun, bringing with it unparalleled power. He pushed it out towards Shi Bufan. Wherever it passed, the heavens collapsed. Boom. The fist landed on Shi Bufan's body, and an earth-shattering sound was heard. Countless large cracks spread, and Shi Bufan was instantly sent flying, crashing into the mountain range in the distance. He smashed hundreds of mountains in a row before he stopped and fell into a pile of ruins. The surrounding sages all opened their mouths and eyes wide, unable to believe what they were seeing. After a long time, someone screamed in a trembling voice. The others were in an uproar. Did this punch directly send Shi Bufan flying? His physique was a little too ridiculously strong. It was nothing if he was only sent flying, but if he could be injured, that would be heaven-defying. Ah! There was a crazy roar and millions of mountain ranges trembled as the mountains collapsed. Shi Bufan rushed out and stood in the void. Demonic patterns flashed on his body, and his killing intent was monstrous. At this moment, his hair was disheveled and he seemed to have gone mad. Look at his arm. The saints below looked at the sky and screamed. They saw that Shi Bufan's arm had been blown up, and there were many cracks on it that had yet to heal. He had really hurt Bufan. At this moment, everyone was completely dumbfounded. Shi Bufan was also stunned. To be honest, he did not expect that it would be such a scene. Previously he saw that Lin Xian's physique was not bad and he was interested, so he wanted to test it out. However, he did not think that Lin Xian could compete with his physique, because Lin Xian had already displayed his eye techniques and laws. Lin Xian's physique was definitely not the best. Therefore he did not care about it before. In terms of physique, he did not think that he would lose to anyone. However, that punch just now had made him feel despair. His confidence had been shattered. He could not believe what kind of punch it was and he had never seen it before. What kind of physique do you have? Shi Bufan asked in a deep voice. Lin Xian smiled mysteriously. Beat me and I'll tell you. Shi Bufan tried his best to take a deep breath, but his hands were still trembling slightly. That punch just now had injured him and he could no longer use his peak strength. Therefore he said, I was careless. I was careless this time and your move just now injured me. I can't use 100% of my strength now, so I won't fight again. What? Did Shi Bufan admit defeat? Oh my god, did he defeat Shi Bufan with one punch? Everyone was going crazy. What kind of monster is he? Is he going to defeat the 8 great sky prides directly? Although I lost to you this time, I will definitely win at the Wuxia Sacred City's assessment. I'll prove my strength to you, Shi Bufan said in a deep voice. I'll be waiting for you at the Wuxia Sacred City's assessment. Boss. Shi Bufan turned around and strode away, disappearing in an instant. In addition, Wang Xiaofeng, Shui Tianqing and the others had also left. They had all been injured in this competition, and they had to hurry up and recover. After all, the Wushuang Sacred City's assessment was very close, and they had to face it in their peak state. Next, Lin Xian meditated in the God-slaying mountain. He set up an array formation and isolated everyone. The surrounding people did not disperse but waited there excitedly. They naturally had to pay their respects to a peerless genius who had risen to prominence. However, after waiting for a few days and nights, the array formation disappeared, and so did Lin Xian. Did he leave? Everyone was disappointed. They did not expect him to leave directly. He's called Lin Wudi, but what's his real name? Which world is he from? Which sect or family is he from? They all felt that they were going crazy. Because other than the name Lin Wudi, they knew nothing about him. However, some people said that he would probably participate in the Wushuang Sacred City's assessment, and they would be able to see him again. Chapter 36-27. The martial arts meet was still going on, but everyone felt that it was meaningless because the other geniuses who came had all been defeated by Lin Xian. Lin Xian had already left. However, the news spread like wildfire and soon swept across the entire Fian planet. For a moment, countless people were talking about it. Have you heard? At the martial arts meet, a ruthless person appeared and defeated 3 geniuses. Defeating 3 geniuses was nothing as long as he wasn't one of the 8 geniuses. Some people were disdainful. There were too many geniuses these days and only the top geniuses would attract people's attention. However, someone said that it was 3 of the 8 geniuses. Shi Bufan, Wang Xiaofeng, Shi Sui and Tianqin were all defeated by the same person. What? That's impossible. Who is it? I know, it must be the second-ranked Ghostly or the first-ranked Di Ling. You guessed wrong, this person is a newcomer who has never appeared before. A newcomer? How is that possible? How can there be such a heaven-defying genius in the world? Who did you say his name was? His name is Lin Wudi. What? He's so arrogant that he dares to call himself invincible. He does have the ability to do so. Discussions quickly spread all over the world. For a moment, the legend of Lin Xian was everywhere. In just one day, the name Lin Wudi had spread all over the Fian planet. Almost everyone knew about it, but very few people had seen Lin Xian before. They only knew that he was one of them. However, that didn't stop them from admiring him. Previously, the 8 geniuses were on par with the world and countless people looked up to them. Now that someone could challenge the 8 geniuses, it was definitely the most shocking thing for them. The other geniuses of the 8 geniuses were also surprised when they heard the news. They didn't believe it at all. Some even went to the martial arts meet personally to ask about it. In a hall, a tall and sturdy man was sitting. He was Di Ling. After hearing the news, he sneered. Lin Wudi? He really doesn't know what's good for him. Even I don't dare to call myself invincible. Who does he think he is? Also, Shi Sui and the others are too useless. They actually lost to a newcomer. They don't deserve to be ranked alongside me as the 8 great prodigies. Because in this world, I am the only one who is the most favored one. Di Ling was extremely confident in himself. He didn't put Lin Wudi in his eyes at all. In his opinion, Lin Wudi hadn't met him yet. Otherwise, Lin Wudi would have gone to hell long ago. On the other side, Yu Shijie and the others frowned when they heard the news. Yu Shijie in particular had a serious look in her eyes. Sister, what's wrong with you? Yu Qinye, who was at the side, did not understand. He had never seen his sister with such an expression before. Yu Shijie muttered. Lin Wudi? Impossible. How could this be? How could he possess such strength? Could it be that you know Lin Wudi? Yu Qinye was surprised as well. He was also paying special attention to this newly risen peak-level genius. Do you still remember the person who sent me back? I know. You're talking about that kid. What? Did he approach you again recently? He better not let me meet him, otherwise I will definitely tear him to pieces. A cold killing intent appeared in Yu Qinye's eyes. Yu Shijie shook her head. He didn't come. I mean, his nickname is also Lin Wudi. Do you think the 2 of them are the same person? What? That kid also dares to call himself Lin Wudi? Yu Qinye was stunned. Then he laughed loudly, his eyes full of disdain. How could it be the same person? What qualifications does that kid have to call me Lin Wudi? But he is really strong, especially in the first astral realm. Almost no one in the younger generation was a match for him. Elder sister, you're worrying too much. You also said that when she was in the first astral realm, he could flaunt his prowess. But this is the second astral realm. It is not comparable to the first astral realm at all. Any one of the geniuses here could sweep through the first astral realm. So that kid can't make any waves here at all. Not to mention defeating the 8 great geniuses. He and that Lin Wuti are not the same person at all. Perhaps Yu Shijie took a deep breath. Indeed, she didn't believe it either. But she didn't know why. She had a bad feeling in her heart. Maybe it is because Wushuang City's test is getting closer and closer that I have this pressure. She shook her head and tried hard to get rid of the distracting thoughts in her heart. The world was full of legends about Lin Wuti. And Lin Xian had already returned to Luohua Valley. At this moment, Shen Jingqiu was still in seclusion. Lin Xian was also beginning to adjust his state, preparing to face this test in his best state. Spirit Tribe. In the universe there was a very special tribe. Their use of the power of heaven and earth far surpassed other tribes. At this moment, a group of people flew over from a spirit ship. After they alighted, they couldn't wait to fly to the core of the spirit tribe. These people were Ling Lianhua and the others. They rushed back from Fian Star to report Shen Jingqiu. 13th Elder, where is the old ancestor? I have something to ask the old ancestor. Ling Lianhua and the others quickly rushed to the core area. In front, an elder said, Lianhua, why are you back? What happened? It was about the saintess. She had gotten into big trouble and this matter had to be reported to the old ancestor. What happened to Qiu? Or could it be that she was in danger? The 13th Elder was nervous. Shen Jingqiu was the saintess of the spirit tribe and they couldn't allow anything to happen to her. What could happen to her? But now that she is strong and her wings have hardened, she doesn't care about the spirit tribe anymore. Ling Lianhua snorted coldly. The 13th Elder frowned. Lianhua, you can't have this attitude. Qiu is our saintess and also a member of the spirit tribe. You can't say such things in the future. 13th Elder, you're still thinking about her even now. Do you know that she found a trash of a husband outside? Everyone already knows about it. The entire Fian Star knows about it. Isn't this ruining the reputation of the spirit tribe? What? There was such a thing? The 13th Elder's face changed. If that was the case, then the matter was serious. Follow me. As he spoke, he turned around and led these people towards the core area. After about half a day, many people gathered beside a lake in the core area. These were all elders with high authority. They were all gathered around a woman. That lady looked to be in her 30s and she had a unique aura. She was like a high and mighty goddess. She wasn't a young person but an old monster who had fallen for countless years. She was the old ancestor of the spirit tribe and the current old clan leader of the spirit tribe. At this moment, when she heard the news reported by Ling Lianhua and the others, she raised her eyebrows. Is what you said true? The lady asked in a deep voice. Clan leader, it is true. The entire Fian Star knows about it and we saw it with our own eyes. You said that the lad is useless? The elders beside her asked impatiently. Their faces were extremely gloomy. Ling Lianhua and the others added fuel to the fire. Yes, he is indeed useless. He is only a second heaven saint. And he is from the first astral realm. How is he different from a country bumpkin? How can he be worthy of our saintess? Indeed, these elders' faces were gloomy. They didn't think that the lad was worthy of their saintess. They all agreed with Ling Lianhua. Chapter 36-28. Leader Qiu is too naive. Perhaps she has been deceived. Yes, we have to send someone to bring Qiu back quickly. Otherwise there will be even more trouble. The few elders spoke quickly. The spirit tribe was huge and it was divided into many factions. Hence, the factions were very complicated. For example, these few elders were from the Spirit Lotus faction. They were definitely not convinced that Shen Jingqiu was the Holy Lady. However, they did not dare to say anything because of the leader's suppression. Now that something like this had happened, they could naturally do something in secret. The girl's eyes flickered. Qiu might be naive but she was not stupid. This little girl is very smart. She has never disappointed us in anything she has done. Do you think she would make a mistake in her judgment? Although that was the case, Qiu was still too inexperienced. Perhaps someone had cast an eye technique on her, or perhaps she had lost her mind. In any case, we have to bring Qiu back. The few elders insisted. Some elders objected. You all know that Qiu also came from the ancient path in the starry sky. She also came from the first star realm. She must have some friends in the first star realm. Maybe this person was her former friend? Even if he is a friend, he should not be her husband. A friend and a husband are two different concepts. That's right. So what if she has friends? She is already a member of the spirit tribe. She should draw a clear line with the past. Not everyone can be friends with the holy lady of the spirit tribe. Alright, stop making wild guesses. Send someone to bring Chiu back. Let her explain herself. However, you all have to be careful. Chiu is going to take part in Peerless City's test. Nothing can happen to her. I will send someone to bring the Holy Lady back. The 13th elder spoke quickly before he went to make preparations. Oh yes, there has been a lot of talk outside recently. Have you heard about the invincible person? Is the family leader talking about Lin Wudi? We have heard that he is a young genius. It is said that the first time he showed his talent was at the martial way competition. He defeated 3 outstanding geniuses consecutively. That shocked all the saints. It is not just that. It is said that he used an eye technique to defeat Water Sky City and Wang Xiaofeng. He used his physique to defeat Shi Bufan. This was simply the strongest domain of the 3 great geniuses. He had defeated them. This could no longer be described as a genius. He was a monster, a rare monster in the world. This person would also participate in Wushuang City's assessment. He would be the Holy Maiden's greatest enemy. If the Saintess wasn't going to win the championship, there shouldn't be too much conflict between them. Another elder said. Beside him, Lianhua and the others were also shocked. After they came out of the Falling Flower Valley, they immediately returned. They didn't know what happened during that time. Who would have thought that after they left, such a huge incident would happen on the Flying Sparrow planet? A peerless genius would appear out of nowhere. This Lin Wudi was definitely a peerless hero. Between him and Di Ling, who was stronger and who was weaker. If she could marry such a person, then her life would be worth it. These people's faces were filled with envy. The leader of the spirit clan snorted. It was normal for 1 or 2 geniuses to be hidden in the universe. You don't have to be so surprised. Moreover, I'm guessing that there might be other geniuses in Wushuang City's assessment. Let's just wait and see. But no matter what, we must ensure that Chiu joins Wushuang City successfully. Hearing this, the rest of them were also serious. Indeed, although the Spirit Clan was strong compared to Wushuang City, they were still lacking. If they wanted to develop further, they had to borrow the strength of the Holy City. The rest of you should leave too. The leader of the Spirit Clan said. The elders left one after another. Ling Lianhua and the others also left the core area. At this moment, a lady said, Sister Lianhua, do you think the clan will punish Xinjingqiu? That's right. What if she refuses to acknowledge us? Ling Lianhua sneered. She looked around and didn't say anything. She just waved her hand. The group of people flew quickly. After flying for about an hour, they stopped and arrived at a palace. Ling Lianhua cast a defensive array and said softly, What's there to be afraid of? Anyway, we are telling the truth. The clan can easily investigate this matter. Moreover, do you think they will be so safe? Sister Lianhua, are you thinking of attacking the Saintess? We can't beat her. The surrounding disciples of the Spirit Clan frowned. Ling Lianhua sneered, I'm not that stupid. I won't do it myself. However, I heard that the Gigolo has enmity with the Rain Clan. It seems that the Gigolo wanted to get close to Wuxia. Later, he was discovered by the Rain Clan and was chased out. That guy is too hateful. He is a toad that wants to eat swan meat. First, he wanted to get close to Wuxia. Now he wants to get close to our Saintess. These people are also gnashing their teeth. Ling Lianhua smiled. So, I secretly told the Rain Clan's young master that the kid is in Falling Flower Valley. As for what happens next, it's none of our business. However, I think the Rain Clan's young master won't let that kid go. Hearing this, the surrounding people also laughed. It seemed that the Gigolo was going to die. If he died, Xinjingqiu and the Rain Clan's young master would have a conflict. It would be best if both sides died together. Anyway, when the time comes, we can just sit back and reap the benefits. Ling Lianhua sneered. Falling Flower Valley. After Lin Xian returned, he began to adjust his state. However, on this day he frowned. The entire surroundings of Falling Flower Valley changed. A lot of fog appeared. It was not the fog of death, but another kind of fog. It seemed to separate the entire Falling Flower Valley. There was a problem. Lin Xian instantly became cautious. It seemed that someone was going to attack him. Sure enough, when the fog separated the Falling Flower Valley, several figures appeared in the sky. One of them glanced at Lin Xian and said, Yes, it's this kid. Do it. A cold voice sounded. In the sky there was a muffled thunder. Then the void split open and slashed towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian's expression changed. All the hair on his body stood up. This attack made him feel a huge threat. Therefore, he did not hesitate and directly used his spatial magic to tear open the void and escape. Boom. A terrifying sound rang out. The place where Lin Xian was originally standing was shattered and turned into chaos. He actually dodged. This kid's movement technique was really strange. The three figures in the sky descended. They frowned. Today I will update 4 times. Tomorrow I will update 5 times. Thank you for your support. Chapter 36-29. Who are you? Who sent you here? Lin Xian asked coldly. You won't have the chance to know. If you want to know, go to hell and ask the king of hell. The middle-aged man in the lead sneered. Behind him were 2 old men. An old man and an old woman, both of them had murderous intent in their eyes. The 3 of them were very powerful. At this moment they were dealing with a second heaven sage together. It was a situation where death was certain. Bus. Lin Xian suddenly used his spatial ability and came in front of the old man, punching out. The terrifying fist carried an unparalleled aura. You're courting death. The old man was furious. How dare the other party take the initiative to attack him? He roared and smashed out the dragon-headed cane in his hand with monstrous laws. Boom. The 2 collided and the mountain collapsed. The old man was sent flying. The dragon-headed cane in his hand was smashed and half of his body turned into a bloody mist. This shocking scene made the other 2 people's expressions change drastically. Wasn't this kid too evil? Let's attack together and kill him. The middle-aged man in the lead shouted angrily. The old woman beside him also had a piercing light in her eyes. He held a golden hairpin in his hand that transformed into monstrous flames. A killing sword appeared in the middle-aged man's hand. Powerful murderous intent filled the entire world. The last old man roared and his shattered body reassembled. His eyes were filled with anger as he stared at Lin Xian. When the 3 sages attacked together, the power was incomparably terrifying. Lin Xian did not resist but kept dodging. He tore the void and shuttled between heaven and earth. If our intelligence is correct, there is a woman in the Luohua Valley who is cultivating. Capture that woman and this kid will definitely be captured. The middle-aged man laughed sinisterly. Suddenly the old man turned into a meteor and flew into the depths of the valley like a dragon. How dare you? Lin Xian was furious. He roared and a golden hand descended from the sky, cutting off the heavenly road. It seems that there is someone inside. After the old man was stopped, he laughed instead of being angry. The old woman and middle-aged man also prepared to break out of the encirclement. As long as they could capture the person inside, the other side would definitely hold back. Lin Xian executed the Kunping movement technique and leaped past the 3 of them, arriving opposite of them. With a swipe of his palm, a sword chi shattered the void. Those who cross the line will die. Kid, you think you can threaten us? He really overestimated himself. We came here this time to kill you. After saying that, the middle-aged man waved his hand and took out a dazzling bead. The moment the bead appeared, the entire world froze. Lin Xian also felt his body stiffen. The surrounding void seemed to have solidified, giving him a strong pressure. What was that? His face was filled with shock. Kid, aren't you good at running? Why don't you try running again? The 3 people opposite him laughed heartily. With the mind-fixing pearl, it could fix the universe. No matter how fast you were, what could you do? Mind fixation pearl. Lin Xian's face turned cold. Black Mountain said, it should be a sage artifact that is used to seal the void. So that's how it is. Lin Xian understood. It seemed like these people didn't suddenly come up with this idea. They had been planning this for a long time to kill him. He didn't know where these people had come from. Capture the woman inside. I want to see this kid's expression of despair. The middle-aged man laughed sinisterly. The old man with the dragon-headed walking stick laughed and walked into the valley. When he came to Lin Xian's side, he mocked him. Kid, aren't you very powerful? In a moment, I'll let you watch your woman die in our hands. I'll let you have a taste of a life worse than death. Damn it. Lin Xian roared furiously, and his eyes shone with a piercing cold light. Black Mountain, do you have a way to teleport all of us to the outer region? Fighting here is too much of a threat to Chiu. His opponents were 3 very powerful sages, and they even had sage artifacts. If he fought against them, the valley would be destroyed. In this way, Chiu would definitely be affected during her cultivation. Black Mountain said, no problem. I've already set up a formation in this valley. Watch me. As he spoke, he formed a seal with his palm, and the entire valley shone brightly. The sky and earth spun and everyone was teleported out. In the blink of an eye they were in outer space. What's going on? The old man was stunned. He had almost reached the depths of the valley, but he didn't expect to be teleported away. The middle-aged man and the old woman were also astonished. After that, they thought of the formation and it was a teleportation formation. Damn it, I was too careless. I didn't expect there to be such a thing in the valley. Let's kill our way back, the old man suggested. The middle-aged man shook his head and laughed coldly. No, our main target is this kid. Let's get rid of him first. Kid, do you think you can move freely just because you're in outer space? The soul-fixing pearl was useful no matter where it was. He waved his hand and the pearl started to spin and float in the sky again. Suddenly the void froze again. Lin Xian felt as if 10,000 mountains were pressing down on him, and he couldn't move at all. He couldn't even use his spatial abilities. When they saw Lin Xian in this state, the three of them laughed and walked forward again. Come on, each of you can think of 100 ways to torture him. We can't let him die so easily. The three of them laughed sinisterly as they walked forward. Lin Xian's expression was cold. When the three of them came closer, he laughed coldly. Are you going to kill me just like that? Do you really think I can't resist? Do you think you can resist? The three of them were stunned. After that, they smiled coldly. Kid, to be honest, even a fourth heaven sage can't do anything to the concentration pearl. A fifth heaven sage might not even be able to escape completely. You're just a second heaven sage? Dream on. Their faces were full of disdain. However, after that, their expressions changed. Lin Xian's body suddenly burst out with an extremely terrifying light. A pagoda rushed out, and the sound of heaven and earth shattering could be heard. Countless cracks appeared in the space. The space sealed by the concentration pearl was directly shattered. How was that possible? The three of them were stunned as if they had seen a ghost. The other party actually broke the concentration pearl. That was too unbelievable. What, is the concentration pearl very powerful? You want to kill me with just the three of you? Do you have the strength? Lin Xian sneered. He took out the great sage pagoda and swept it in all directions. The three great sage people vomited blood and flew backward. Their bodies were blasted apart. Their faces were filled with fear. Run. The other party also had a sacred artifact in his hand. It was an extremely terrifying sacred artifact. They couldn't fight against it at all. Damn it, they cursed in their hearts. Their intelligence was wrong. They didn't know that the other party had such a trump card. Otherwise, they wouldn't have accepted this assassination mission. Chapter 3630. Retreat. The three of them quickly retreated. How could Lin Xian allow them to leave? He immediately swung the great sage pagoda at the old man. With a boom, the old man exploded. His miserable cries rang out, and the other two felt their scalps go numb. It's too strong. What level is this sage weapon? They can't resist it at all. The old man's miserable body tried to heal, but the great sage pagoda exploded again. Lin Xian reached out with one hand and grabbed the old man's soul. Didn't you want to kill me? You want to attack Chiu? You're good. Now try to kill me. I've already said that anyone who crosses the line will die. Did you take my words for granted? I deserve to die. Spare my life. The old man screamed in horror. Spare your life? Do you think it's possible? I actually said that anyone who crosses the line will die. Now die. A technique locking spring in autumn. Lin Xian's eyes flashed with golden light. He immediately used his eye technique and set 1,000 cycles. He wanted the old man to suffer the torture of fate 1,000 times. In the next moment, the old man's soul screamed miserably in the sky. Go quickly. The other two companions didn't dare to stay any longer. They fled in opposite directions. Black Mountain, go and capture one. I'll capture the other. Lin Xian said coldly. Black Mountain flew towards the old woman. Lin Xian directed his killing intent at the middle-aged man. You're courting death. Seeing that Lin Xian still cared about him, the middle-aged man roared. He activated the composure pearl again and attacked. The composure pearl spun in the sky. It could seal off space. It was a sage weapon and its power was terrifying. When it appeared, the sky fell and the earth cracked. However, no matter how powerful a sage weapon was, it was useless in front of the great sage pagoda. Lin Xian directly swung the great sage pagoda. It smashed down like a huge mountain. With a clang, it collided with the composure pearl. An ear-piercing sound rang out, and the void within thousands of miles shattered. The middle-aged man kept retreating, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. His face was full of shock. Lin Xian was too strong. He couldn't believe it. At this moment, his scalp was numb and he was filled with regret. Damn it, the Rain clan actually gave him false information. If he could return alive, he definitely wouldn't let that young master of the Rain clan off. However, would he be able to return alive? He didn't know, but now it seemed like he could only fight to the death. He looked at the mind fixation pearl in his hand and felt a pang of pain. He could only sacrifice this saint artifact in exchange for his life. Thinking up to this point, his palms continued to form seals, striking out strands of the laws of heaven and earth, guiding them into the mind fixation pearl. The mental fixation pearl spun rapidly, emitting a dangerous aura. Not good. Lin Xian frowned. The other party wanted to use a saint tool to stop him. He would not let the other party succeed. With a wave of his hand, the great sage pagoda soared into the air and froze the mind-fixing pearl. The mind-fixing pearl could no longer be used. Seeing this scene, the middle-aged man was stunned. In the next moment he turned around and left. Lin Xian charged forward once more, scaring his opponent so much that his scalp went numb. However, when he saw that Lin Xian was charging at him, he started laughing. "Kid, without that pagoda, do you think you're a match for me?" He was too excited. He did not expect to use the mind fixation tribe to restrain the other party's pagoda. This way he would not be afraid of the other party at all. Next, the middle-aged man attacked. Laws that filled the sky surged out, wanting to kill Lin Xian. At the same time, he opened his mouth and spat out strands of divine light. They were all the great Tao of heaven and earth, and they were definitely killing moves. "Kid, go to hell." The middle-aged man laughed sinisterly. He was a third heaven sage, one heaven higher than the other party. How could he not kill the other party? However, Lin Xian did not care at all. Without the mind fixation pearl, the other party was no threat to him at all. In the next moment, he pulled out the great spear of destruction and charged forward. One terrifying sword chi after another slashed out in all directions, slicing apart all the laws. Lin Xian descended forcefully and kicked out. His golden divine body was covered in black qilin tattoos. They were densely packed and lifelike. As soon as he appeared, a loud qilin monkey appeared. With a kick, the void within a million miles shattered. The middle-aged man felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Saint blood spurted out from every pore on his body. His bones shattered in an instant, and his entire body turned into a pile of mud. Or infinite panic, fear. He did not expect that the other party would still be so strong without a saint artifact. The other party's physique was too strong, so strong that it made him despair. Run. He did not dare to say anything else. He wanted to escape, but Lin Xian's attack pierced through his heart and nailed him to death in the void. He screamed. His soul wanted to escape, but at this time, a pair of golden eyes appeared in the sky. "I technique, spring and autumn lock." Another miserable scream sounded. The middle-aged man also experienced endless torture. This was even more miserable than the torture of being naked. After 999 cycles of spring and autumn, Lin Xian searched the other party's soul and found out their origins. It turned out that the three of them were assassins. They had received a bounty from the Rain Clan's young master, Yu Qianye, and came to assassinate him. Rain Clan Yu Qianye. Lin Xian's face was cold. "Brat, how was it?" At this time the distant He Shan also flew back. Behind him was an old woman, but she had already turned into a dried corpse. Most likely, all the energy in her body had been sucked dry by He Shan. "Did you kill her directly? Did you not search her soul?" Lin Xian asked. "What kind of existence is this saint? Do I need you to teach me this kind of thing?" This guy was a member of the Rain Clan. Someone from the Rain Clan? Lin Xian frowned. It seemed like there were two assassins and an expert from the Rain Clan. "Did you obtain any useful information?" Lin Xian asked coldly. "For example, where was the Rain Clan's young master?" He did not mind assassinating the other party. There is indeed a useful piece of information. "Do you know who leaked this information to the Rain Clan?" "Oh." Lin Xian was stunned. He Shan said that it was the clansman of that girl, the Spirit Clan. After saying that, he waved his hand and shot out an illusion. Seeing this illusion, Lin Xian frowned. "Spirit Lotus, damn it, it was actually this woman who leaked the information." Then the other party wanted to use the Rain Clan to kill him. At the same time, they might kill Shinjingqiu as well. Thinking of this possibility, his face became incomparably gloomy. He did not immediately take action because he felt that it was better to tell Qiu about this matter first. He used the Great Sage Pagoda to subdue the mind fixation pearl and put it away. After taking a deep breath, he returned to the Fian planet and went to the Falling Flower Valley. At this moment, Shinjingqiu had already woken up in the Falling Flower Valley. Lin Xian told her about what had happened. After hearing it, Shinjingqiu's face immediately changed. "Damn it, they actually dared to be so despicable. Brother Lin, just you wait, I will get an explanation for you. After saying that, he flew into the sky. It seemed like he wanted to go to the Spirit Clan. Spirit Clan. The 13th Elder sent people to the Fian planet to bring Shinjingqiu back. Not long after they flew out, they were stunned. Because they saw a stream of light flying over. It was the Saintess spirit boat. The Saintess had returned. They were all stunned. In the next moment, they saw Shinjingqiu walking out of the spirit boat. Saintess, you're back. That's great, we still have to go and pick you up. Those martial artists were overjoyed. Shinjingqiu's face was cold. She asked, where is the lotus? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.